St. Lucie Public Schools is the home to exemplary educators whose passion and commitment to the students they serve knows no bounds. Each year, the St. Lucie Education Foundation, along with St. Lucie Public Schools, has the privilege of recognizing teachers selected to represent their individual schools as Teachers of the Year.
Throughout the history of the world, great teachers have inspired, comforted, persuaded, and motivated. All of us recall a certain teacher, a very special someone who inspired us to learn. And in addition, all of us have sat in the classroom of many great teachers. Regardless of their field of study, they were all visionaries who led by example and whose actions transformed lives. Every day, we, along with 100 million parents, entrust our children to teachers. They instruct them, guide them, discipline them, coach them, and inspire them to fulfill their potential. They teach social skills as well as social studies, self-esteem as well as spelling, citizenship as well as science, tolerance as well as typing, and enthusiasm for learning as well as content mastery. They have to be counselors, mentors, surrogate parents, disciplinarians, friends, as well as masters of their subject matter. And this program presents some extraordinary men and women whose timeless wisdom echoes the integrity, strength, character, and passion for educators all across our district and our nation. This program is a tribute to and for teachers and celebrate the special and often heroic role they play in their students' lives. This program is in our small way an opportunity to say thank you to those who educate, encourage, empower, and inspire the students of the world. And with that, we want to welcome the fantastic Teacher of the Year from Fort Pierce Westwood High School, Ms. Matthew, to the Teacher of the Year celebration show. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
She has along with her the awesome principal there, Mr. John Lynch. We welcome you to the show as well, Mr. Lynch.
How are you, Dr. Perry?
Ms. Matthew, just in case some of our viewers don't know about your background, please tell us a little bit about your educational background, the subject that you teach, and the number of years that you have been teaching and inspiring students in St. Lucie County.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. I'm Merlin Matthew, and I've been teaching at Westwood High School since 2006. I teach 10th grade biology. I was born, raised, and educated in India. I was teaching in India for 7 years. I started teaching in 1999. I was teaching in India till 2006. And then through a telephonic interview by Ms. Bushore, I was appointed at Westwood High School. So I took leave for my 5 years. I took leave for 5 years from my job in India. Got onto a flight, and I've been at Westwood ever since.
Well, we're so excited to have you here at Westwood High School and excited that you are the Teacher of the Year. Please explain to us what is a favorite part of teaching for you?
As an educator for 16 years, there are so many things that I'm passionate about in teaching. And, the aha moments, when the light bulb comes on, when a student says, I got this. But more than that, I think it's the knowledge that I have that every day I touch and influence young minds. The role that I have in touching and molding young minds, that's what I'm most passionate about.
We know that the students that we're teaching, Ms. Matthew, they basically have come into this world with some form of technology in their hand. We know that they're constantly involved with computers, with cell phones, they're on the internet, they're surfing the net, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it may be, that they use for their learning, to gather knowledge, to transport knowledge and learning. But how do you, as a biology teacher, for 10th grade students, use technology or infuse technology in your instruction?
Looking back at 2006, when I first came to the U.S., I think what I most dreaded was technology, and I felt that was my weak area. But over the 10 years that I've been here, I've seen a great improvement, and today I cannot imagine my instruction going without technology. I use technology a lot to monitor student progress. I see the gaps in their student learning, and then I use technology to monitor what I need to do to engage them and give them the right performance tasks to close those gaps that I see. I use technology a lot to communicate with my parents and with my students via Skyward, whether it's Edmodo. Today there's so much technology, USA Test Prep, Socrative, playing academic games like Kahoot, and you can see instant feedback right there on the screen. So everything is technology, right from bell ringer to their knowledge to the when they exit, using different technological methods by which the feedback is right there on the screen, and it's instant feedback for my students as well as for me. And this year, I'm very excited. We have at Westwood the new initiative. We have Access Now, and we have laptops, and there's a big shift in the teacher learning environment right there for students as well as for the teachers. And it's technology is used in so many different aspects. We use our collaborative time for furthering our knowledge in technology, and be it one notebook, the students, there's so many things we do, right from like if a student is absent, they can Skype in. We have everything available for them 24/7 on the net. So it's a great tool.
Mr. Lynch, let's jump in with you right now, but just in case there's someone that doesn't know the fantastic John Lynch, please give us a little bit about your educational background for our viewers as well.
Well, actually, this is my 30th year in St. Lucie County. I've been teaching for 34 years. I was a math teacher. After a math teacher, I spent some time in the district office in the assessment division, but then had a burning desire to go back to school base. I love working with students. Always a teacher at heart. So I went back as a principal, elementary, middle, and high school, and then again into the district office in another role over federal programs, and now back at Westwood High School. So I'm very happy to be there.
Now, Mr. Lynch, before we talk about the dynamic Miss Marilyn Matthew, she mentioned this Access Now. Explain to our viewers what Access Now is.
Access Now is an initiative from the district which provides every student and teacher with a laptop computer. And what it does, it broadens not only the teacher's access to information to share in the classroom with students, but it also broadens the students' accessibility to coursework, to knowledge. With that comes some other issues that we're working through, but in terms of the technology, everyone's afraid of the technology and the misuse of the technology. We haven't seen that at all. It's been a great resource to teachers, a great resource to students. I had one student who said, I would never have the opportunity to take online courses, college-level courses. Now they do, based on the Access Now initiative. It takes away the issue of transportation. It levels the playing field, if you would, for our students. So it's been a great, growing experience for Westwood High School.
So let's talk again now then about Miss Matthew. When you visit her 10th grade biology class, what is it that you see and what is it that you hear?
I think the most impressive thing about Ms. Matthews' classroom is it's a safe environment. And by safe, I mean students can share opinions. The diversity is celebrated. We look at how students interact with the information, they interact with the technology. You'll also see, she mentioned before about her use of technology. I don't think I've been in the classroom where the computers aren't being utilized to some degree, whether students are working out some problems that they're referring to an online resource to assist them, or there might be some friendly controversy at the table where they're discussing different viewpoints of how to solve a problem, different strategies. You'll see that. I know the word engaging has become somewhat of a cliche, but it's the kind of classroom that as a student you certainly would want to be in, and equally as important, it's the kind of classroom that as a parent you would want your child in. It's a great environment to learn.
Ms. Matthew, Mr. Lynch mentioned the word engagement. Engaging. So we know that in our framework for quality instruction, DQ5 is all about engagement. So how do you purposefully plan engagement for your students' learning?
Yes, when you mentioned DQ5, right, from elements 24 to 32.
Yes, ma'am.
Those elements, what I've done over the past few years is I've consciously picked those elements for my DPP, and I've doing constant research and improvising different strategies on managing response rates, maintaining a lively the pace, igniting that enthusiasm and intensity for the subject. So using friendly controversy, using games like Kahoot. Like they're teenagers, that age, it's very important to get them engaged, get them moving, get their brain to work. So I do try consciously to keep them engaged by using different strategies that I have been learning and I'm continually learning over the years.
Have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you discover?
Being an educator, It's one of the most revered professions in the society and in the culture that I was born into. In India, a teacher is considered as a guru or as an imparter of knowledge. It's one of the most noble profession in India, so I know that I always have wanted to become an educator. My primary educator, the person who actually influenced me was my mother, who actually never went to college herself, but had very high expectations for me. And even today, she feels very proud of the different achievements that I'm accomplishing. I was fortunate enough to go to a school in India, which was founded by Mother Teresa. And I actually have met her, and she was one of my inspirational models. I used to have, when I was in school, we had to go every week. We had to go to a charitable organization. And I went to the orphanage that Mother Teresa had every week. And I felt that it was my duty to give back to society. So the values that was instilled in me by those Irish nuns, so it left a long-lasting influence on me.
At Westwood, I know there's a lot of activity that goes on in the high school environment. Is there something new and or exciting that you're involved in this year?
Like I said, the Access Now, that's one of the new initiatives. Other than that, I'm the science department chair, so things that we're doing in science, right now from MOA campus and the main campus, we actually did Skype, like when we do our planning, department planning meetings, we also had the opportunity to do Skype in to our colleagues who are on MOA campus, and we are trying different strategies that we can use with the new technological resources that we have to further engage our student engagement.
Mr. Lynch, describe Ms. Matthew in 3 adjectives.
Only 3?
Only 3?
Okay. I would say first and foremost, supportive. If I'm a student in Ms. Matthews' class, she's not going to let me fail. She will go above and beyond at every turn to do that. The other one I would say is engaging. It's a fun class to be in, and when I say fun, I kind of categorize that. It's challenging. It will stimulate my thought. It will make me think. Not everything is presented to you so you can regurgitate it on a test. So in that sense, it's engaging. And third one, exceptional. She is the type of teacher that does not say no to anything. Could you help me with this? I need some help forming a committee to do that. And she's always there to lend her expertise and assistance.
Ms. Matthew, as the Teacher of the Year, it's often that we call on you to be the ambassador for your school. You may have to speak with students, parents, or some other colleagues. What would you specifically say to a parent and or student to help that child be or remain successful?
Parental involvement is huge in any kind of student progress or learning. So I always try to involve my parents in everything I do, trying to convey to them the expectations of the school as well as of the classroom, and keep them updated on student progress. To the student, I would say, I find myself as an educator to be the lead learner. And often people associate victory with success and not failing or stumbling. But I have learned that the journey to success is actually maybe a journey of multiple failures. But each failure is fueled by the nourishment of what you have learned from that failure. I keep telling my students it's okay to fall, but you've got to get up and learn from your failures. And as an educator, I find myself being very real for my students, telling them that it's okay to make mistakes, finding the beauty in themselves, and just be who you are.
I'm going to borrow that. Journey to success is a journey of multiple failures, but ultimately you reach that level of success. Speaking to students, speaking to parents, what advice would you give to new teachers?
Well, to a new teacher, I would say that when you look at all these veteran teachers who seem to be oozing out all this knowledge and vocabulary, just remember that they were also a first-year teacher who just chose not to quit. Those veteran teachers were all first-year teachers at one point of time, and I recall that being the most stressful year of our teaching profession. It's always overwhelming. But to my mentees, what I mention is be firm but flexible. Let the students know that you are the leader, and have a discipline plan always set up. Have engaging lessons planned. Well, planning is huge, especially when you're a first-year teacher. There's nothing more disastrous than having a class full of students who have 10 minutes of free time in their hands while a teacher is pondering what to do next. That's when the discipline creeps in. Don't ever hesitate to holler for help. Find the right person on campus who you can latch onto, who you can run to if you need help. And I also tell my mentees, my New Year teachers, that learn to zone into your strengths and don't focus on your weaknesses as much. All of us have our strengths and weaknesses, and as teachers, we always tend to magnify our weaknesses more, and we often feel bogged down by the mistakes that we make. Something else that I would always tell my teachers that come to my department is don't feel frightened to experiment and try out new strategies. I mean, it's always, as a first-year teacher, you're always trying to be a copy of someone else, whereas I feel that you always have to leave your individual stamp. You have your strengths. Yes, borrow from the people who have been there for years, but always learn to improvise on them, tweak them. It's by trial and error that you learn to actually know what's going to work for you.
Answer this question for me. May cause for some reflection, but why are you a teacher?
Why am I a teacher? As I said, it's well, as a teacher, I feel that I have so much more to offer to the society. It's like I have been given a very responsible task. I'm there to inform, to educate, to inspire young minds. Yes, I know that I have to teach biology, but that's such a small part of what I actually do. More than the content, I feel that I teach them interpersonal skills. Teaching them compassion, tolerance, respect for each other. And that's what we're preparing our students for this 21st century global citizens. You've got to learn to tell them that, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless from where you come from, or regardless from what language you speak, you still have to have built in that compassion and the tolerance for everyone else.
Mr. Lynch, what makes Ms. Matthew the perfect candidate for this honor?
It's a combination of things. She has such a deep skill set that she's spoken of. The classroom in itself is such a welcoming place. And at the same time, she, as you're hearing here, she's very humble. So a deep skill set, being very humble. And I look for someone who would be the candidate to be a state representative as Teacher of the Year. And certainly, Ms. Matthews fits that mold in the sense that such a deep skill set, feels a deep commitment and obligation to share that with her students and ensure that they're successful, and at the same time contributing across the board to the entire school setting, not just, as she said, in the science department. So in that sense, and you encapsulate that in being a very humble person, makes her a great candidate for Teacher of the Year.
Ms. Matthew, it's evident that you're passionate, you're driven, you understand that you teach more than just biology. But when will you know that you are a success?
There's so many different definitions of success.
Hart, what's going on? Leaving?
Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know.
Not
like when you
enough.
teach
Constantly
UC
leaving on
tested
me. You
area
barely
like
eat anything
biology,
healthy. You have
a
exactly
teacher's
what you
success
used to
is
be.
usually
Pressure is just too much.
associated with
quit.
your student's
Okay,
success.
I get it. I'll
And
do
there's
better.
always the data
Just
that goes
please.
by. And I
Don't
feel
leave.
that
Okay.
the data that I
Remember,
have
if I go,
is
you go.
speaks volumes
Listen
of
to
the
your
fact
heart.
that my
Don't
students
let
are
it quit
learning.
on you.
The
Uncontrolled
learning
high
gains
blood
that they
pressure
make
could lead
every
to
year
stroke, heart attack, or death.
is
Get yours to a
one way
healthy
that you
range
can measure
before
my
it's too
success.
late.
But more than that, I feel very accomplished when I get feedback from my students or from the parents. And I remember actually one incident that I want to share with you is in 2006, a week after I came to the US, I had a very bad experience with one of the parents who came in and he said that, you have a very strong accent. No one can understand a word of what you're saying, and I don't think my daughter can actually learn from you. And I was absolutely broken. I was like, my morale was down, I felt I need to quit, and I decided to go back. But there were lots of people who supported me and told me not to quit, and I decided to stay on. But 4 years down the road, I met the same parent in the front office at Westwood High School. The same parent came up to me and said, Mrs. Matthew, do you remember my daughter was in your class, and right now she's in IRSC college, and she has biology as one of her subjects, and you prepared her well. There are other kids who are struggling, but the rigor that you had for her has prepped her up.
Right.
So for me, those stories and the success stories that other students have shared with me, that's what's most fulfilling to me as an educator.
Mr. Lynch, is there anything else that you may want to share with our viewers about your fantastic Teacher of the Year?
I think you've heard that what she's all about. She teaches the entire student. It's not just the biology period of the day. She cares about them from dusk to dawn. She will ensure their success. No matter how many failures are in between, she will continue to work with the student and see that they're successful. I think she just embodies all of the characteristics that would make her an outstanding representative of all the great classrooms in St. Lucie County.
Ms. Matthew, let me follow up with just two more questions, again, for some reflection. When I think about your time teaching in India, your time here at wonderful Westwood High School, that's near and dear to my heart as well. When you think about all of that, all of the work that you've done, the lives that you've touched, the difference that you have made, what is it that you know for sure?
You know, I embody the Kids at Home philosophy that all kids are capable of success, no exceptions. And I believe that every student can learn more than what they currently know. There is always the potential for growth. And as teachers, and I believe that if a teacher sets up the expectations high and the bar is raised high, students will rise up to it. You know, the expectation should not ever be low where the students are falling down. You know, you reach for the stars always. Get up a high expectation for the students, and I believe that over the years that I've learned is that as I set my bars up high, I believe that my students will be able to rise up to it.
Finish this statement for me. I believe
that as an educator, I have a very strong and important role to play in society.
Let me leave these words with you then. It's by Theodore Bremeld, and he said, "Teaching seems to me beyond doubt the greatest of the professions." And it's evident from what we've heard and what we discussed that you're representing that greatest profession to the highest of all abilities. So we thank you. We celebrate you. Thank you, Mr. Lynch, for joining us as well. And Ms. Matthew, congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year for Fort Pierce Westwood High School, where we know once a Panther,
always a Panther. Thank you, Dr. Perry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving.
Why? What did I do?
Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit.
Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave.
Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
At this time, we're welcoming to our Teacher of the Year celebration show the dynamic Miss Tammy Davis, who's representing Francis K. Sweet Elementary School. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
She's brought along with her the very wonderful, outstanding Miss Juanita Wright, who serves as the dynamic principal at Francis K. Sweet. Mrs. Wright, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
Ms. Davis, it is a pleasure to have you as we celebrate Teachers of the Year in the district. And again, I'll say congratulations to you. But just in case our viewers may not know a little bit about the fantastic Miss Tammy Davis, would you please tell them a little bit about your educational background, what you're teaching, what grades you might have taught, where you studied and your certifications, those kinds of things.
Okay. I teach second grade at Francis K. Sweet Elementary. I've been teaching for 10 years. I studied at Florida Atlantic University, and I got my certificate in elementary ed K through 6 with the ESOL endorsement.
Great, great. We're so glad that you're here with us at Francis K. Sweet in St. Lucie Public Schools. You're teaching second grade, and I know it may be a long time since some of our viewers have actually been in school, but what is your day like in second grade?
The day in second grade starts out with students coming in and following the routine of unpacking for the day, getting their homework and planners ready, and reading for pleasure for about 15 minutes until the morning announcements begin.
So there's a lot of language arts, social studies, science, math, reading, and everything else that goes on top of that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Great, great. Is it a fun day and a very energetic, fast-paced day?
It is a very fun day, very energetic, and very fast-paced. It's fun because we get to bring in new Kagan strategies. So throughout the day, they can do games like move with their feet or inside-outside circles to help them practice studying spelling words. It's live-paced because we keep it going. We start one thing and then we transition for the next thing, and they follow the routine throughout the day.
So what's the most important part about teaching for you?
The most
Or your
important.
favorite part? Better question.
My favorite part about teaching is parent involvement now. I'm using a new program called Class Dojo, and it's a free computer-based program. And within Class Dojo, it monitors the students throughout the day with behaviors and interaction, engagement in the classroom, and it instantaneously gives the information to the parents. So this year, my parent communications have gone up 100% in my classroom.
So the students that you're teaching, second grade,
Yes.
Born into a world full of technology, everything about them from the day they were born is full of technology. They might have come into the world with some kind of form of technology in their hand. How do you purposefully infuse technology in instruction?
Purposely, they work on the computers doing programs from iReady, 100-book challenge, reading counts, and different things like that.
Mrs. Wright, inform our viewing audience a little bit about your educational background.
Well, originally I'm from Texas, so I graduated from Bishop College and pursued further studies at Nova University to get my master's in educational leadership.
Ms. Davis mentioned a couple of programs that some of our viewers may not be privy to. She talked about the 100-book challenge, reading counts. Tell our viewers a little bit about what those programs are for.
Well, the Class Dojo that she mentioned, it monitors students' behavior, their engagement in the classroom, and all of her parents have signed. It's a free computer-based program, and all of the parents are, as soon as she sends home, she alerts the parents if the child is on task, and it's part of our PBS program too, which alerts the parent if the child is out of dress code, if the child is not engaged. So it's the instant communication to parents. We no longer have to, in Mrs. Davis' class, we no longer have to do behavior management plan because this program includes that. And PBS, when they earn their Starbucks for good behavior, then it alerts the parents that your child has earned a certain amount of Starbucks for following the school expectations.
So, Ms. Wright, when you visit Mrs. Davis' classroom, what is it that you hear and see?
I see happy children. I see children that are engaged, excited to learn, excited to show and tell what they've learned. And I see cooperative groups. But the children, you can tell that they enjoy the classroom because you see lots of smiling faces and children eager to participate.
Ms. Davis, have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you discover?
I discovered I wanted to be a teacher when I was in the second grade. I attended White City Elementary in our district, and my teacher was Miss Gooden at the time. And from Miss Gooden, she left that impact on me to want to be a teacher. So from second grade, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher.
You answered my next question, who inspired you? So
Yes.
Awesome. Is this Miss Carol Gooden?
Yes.
Okay, the reading lady. Yes, a fantastic instructor. Tell me then, in your classroom, we have in DQ5 for our framework for quality instruction, it centers on the engagement of students for learning purposes. How do you purposefully plan engagement for instruction?
I purposely plan for engagement by incorporating into my lesson plans strategies like Kagan strategies, inside-outside circles. With inside-outside circles, the students form two circles. One student is on the inside and one is on the outside. And they use their spelling words. One is the teacher, one is the student. And they test each other for 2 minutes. And then the timer goes off and they move to the next student until they complete the circle. So the students on the outside stand still while the students on the inside, they're the students. They get to rotate around and they are tested. I have 18 students, so they're tested 9 times on their spelling words. And what I've seen from that is the increase in their academic grades on spelling tests. My students master the majority of their spelling tests because of this strategy.
So tell me, is there something new or exciting that you're working on this year?
New and exciting is I'm reading Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck.
Yes.
And I actually brought Miss Wright in to show her my bulletin board I created. It says, change your words, change your mindset. So I'm really getting the children in focus on the way they think about things. You know, instead of thinking, I can't do math, what is it I can train my brain to do math? So
I finished reading Mindset last year, and what I find myself doing is saying, oh, they have a fixed mindset.
Yes.
Anytime you meet and discuss with people. Mrs. Wright, I know to be the Teacher of the Year at Francis K. Sweet, that person must be involved in a plethora of activities that help the school naturally operate. What other activities would we find Ms. Davis involved with?
She's part of our PBIS team. She is the CTA representative for the teachers.
Other activities?
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. I was trying to think because Mrs. Davis does a Veterans Day program, and we invite about 35 veterans the day before Veterans Day, obviously, because we are off on Veterans Day, and we have a program. We get our students to participate. We have our chorus to participate, and then we serve breakfast, a hot breakfast.
Wow.
And our veterans really are so appreciative of that.
Ms. Davis, as the Teacher of the Year, we often look at you as the ambassador for education at your site. Oftentimes with that comes the fact that we pull you to speak with parents, to maybe speak with students, community members. What is it that you would say to parents to ensure that their child is a success?
Just think about their mindset. When you're dealing with a child, think, how do you think that child would feel in this moment in time or whatever the incident that's going on with them? And use a growth mindset when you're thinking about them. The kids might come in with a fixed mindset, but as the adult or the parent, you use your growth mindset to try to convince them to what it is that you're talking about.
Also in your role, you may have to share with new teachers. So what advice would you give to new teachers?
For new teachers, my advice would be to take it one day at a time and just be open and willing to the new things and changes that are coming.
Mrs. Wright, please describe Ms. Davis for me using 3 adjectives.
I would say assertive, caring, and proficient.
And why did you choose those words to describe her?
Well, I think caring, when I think of caring, her students know that she cares about them, she loves them, and they work, they want to please Mrs. Davis. Proficient, she knows how to teach. She uses those strategies that she learned in PD, and she goes back immediately and implement those strategies in the classroom.
Great, great, great. So, Ms. Wright, in thinking about Ms. Davis, we know that in our district, you go from being the Teacher of the Year for your school, great honor, to possibly being one of the 3 finalists for Teacher of the Year for our school district. What makes Ms. Davis the perfect candidate for this honor?
She's very knowledgeable, and I really believe that you have to care about students, and she exhibits that every single day. Her students and the parents know that she loves the students. And this year, she's going to do some professional development for our teachers. The fact that she is sitting here shows how much respect that the staff has for her.
Mrs. Davis, what impact do you have on a student's ability to be career and or college ready?
The impact I have is changing their mindset. I teach 2nd grade, so at this age, they're young. So I feel at this point, if I can change their mindset and teach them how to change their mindset about situations and things that happen in their lives, it'll get them prepared and ready for college.
So then, look at everything, totality, and tell us, why are you a teacher?
I'm a teacher because I love children, I love teaching, I love helping others, I love people, I love everything about teaching.
So when will you know that you are a success?
Well, I will know that I'm a success when I've accomplished that 2 times in my life, when I got my degree from college and then when I passed my teaching certificate test. And as I set goals throughout life and I accomplish those goals, at the end of that goal, I'll know that it was a success.
Mrs. Wright, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewing audience to help us better know the fantastic Miss Davis?
I think she's loved and respected, and she genuinely has a true love for kids and teaching. You know, she believes in every child succeeding. She sets high expectations, not only for herself, but she sets those high expectations for her students. And she knows that she's a success when all of her kids have mastered whatever the skill that she's teaching them. And she doesn't, and it's all kids in Mrs. Davis' classroom, every child, every day.
So, Mrs. Davis, when you think about your 10 years as an educator, and when you just look at you as a educator, as a person in general, and in totality, what is it that you know for sure?
I know for sure that I was born to teach. I have the opportunity to present myself in front of students and give them the best intake on their educational outlook.
Finish this phrase for me. I believe.
I believe one day at a time, one moment at a time, there is always hope.
Great, great. Let me leave you then with these words from Donna Bolger. She said, "To teach well is to make a difference in all the lives you touch. To teach well is to believe in what and whom you teach." Thank you for the work that you do in helping your students to believe in the success that they can achieve. And congratulations to you on being selected the Teacher of the Year for Francis K. Sweet Elementary School. Ms. Wright, thank you for joining and sharing with us about this wonderful educator that's representing all the fantastic teachers at Francis K. Sweet.
We're
Thank you again.
certainly proud of her.
Thank you.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
And at this time, joining us from Lakewood Park Elementary School is the fantastic Miss Rachel Alexander, who is the Teacher of the Year at that site. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
She's brought along with her the dynamic Miss Diane Young, who's serving as an awesome principal at Lakewood Park. Miss Young, welcome as also.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
Miss Alexander, it is a pleasure for us to have an opportunity to do what we call the Teacher of the Year celebration show, to celebrate you as a representative of all the fantastic teachers that we have in St. Lucie County and honor your selection as the Teacher of the Year for your site. But just in case there's someone in our viewing audience that may not know about you, let's introduce you to them. Tell us a little bit about your educational background, where you studied, what you're certified in, and what you're currently teaching, the grade level and subjects.
Sure. Well, my name's Rachel Alexander, and I teach third grade English Language Arts at Lakewood Park Elementary. I hold a Bachelor's of Science in Education from the State University of New York at Cortland.
SUNY, I think you're the third SUNY school.
Really?
Yes,
well, it's a wonderful program.
I guess it is.
But our Florida schools are great as well, and I'm actually pursuing an Educational Leadership Master's through the University of West Florida right now as well.
Great, great. And again, welcome to our show. So you're only teaching language arts? So does it mean you're kind of departmentalized or something?
We are departmentalized this year, that's right. I teach whole and small group instruction in reading comprehension, phonics, vocabulary, just all those elements of language arts. that are so exciting, and I really am enjoying it.
So basically what you do is see somewhere close to 80, 90 kids a day that kind of change classes, if I will.
That's right. I have 2 classes, a class in the morning and a class in the afternoon for a total of 44 students.
Okay.
The morning group I looped with from last year, so I was their 2nd grade general ed teacher.
Got it.
And so we have, close relationships and then wonderful new relationships with the afternoon class as well.
So you just told me that you looped with 2nd graders to 3rd grade. You're teaching language arts half a day basically in the morning and in the afternoon, and the kids go out for the other things after that. So what's your favorite part of teaching?
That's a good question. I really enjoy seeing the students' achievements, seeing kind of that light bulb moment where you can tell that they really grasp a concept. And seeing them practice the skills that they learn and get more and more fluent. And as a reading teacher, I really just love seeing their reading abilities increase and soar and go off the charts. And students who maybe are start off the year not doing as well academically make those gains and really progress throughout the year.
Great, great. Mrs. Young, let's jump in with you as well.
Okay.
Because someone may be viewing that don't know you and your fantastic career here in St. Lucie Public Schools. Kind of introduce yourself with your background to our viewers as well.
Well, I'm very proud to be a product of St. Lucie County Schools. First of all, I graduated of Fort Pierce Central, and this is my 33rd year in education here in St. Lucie County. My 4th year at Lakewood Park. Rachel Alexander was one of the teachers that I had the opportunity to come in with, and she has proven herself to be quite a leader on campus during my tenure at Lakewood Park. And so I've always been in elementary school, have taught all the grade levels in elementary, absolutely love it, and I happen to believe that we just are the most wonderful school in St. Lucie County.
I believe you. I believe you. So tell me then, she came to Lakewood Park with you, and when you visit her classroom, 2nd grade, now 3rd grade, what is it that you see and hear?
I see a community. I see students learning in a very engaging environment. Rachel has proven herself as a leader with collaborative planning and modeling for other teachers as well, and I see the benefit of that in her classroom. Her students are not just engaged in standards-based instruction, but they are connected with one another in conversation. They're solving problems. She's pulling the absolute best out of each student. And even those who are new to even our country and who are learning our language, she finds a special relationship with them. So that I've watched her absolutely transform students academically and behaviorally.
Ms. Alexander, the students that you're teaching are very technologically savvy. So how do you infuse technology in instruction?
Well, one of my favorite applications is to use what we call the smart board. And it's not a separate board. It's actually using my computer screen and integrating that with the pull-down screen that the students view. So by doing that, I can manipulate a thinking map or our learning goals and scales, and I can model for the students how they would use that at their own desk. And so that's one way that we use technology a lot in our classroom. Another way is that I've just started using recently really is PowerPoint presentations. This year I've learned great applications for supplementing the students' learning on the standards-based learning. We also occasionally play games like Jeopardy that are literacy-based and that just are fun and get the students really involved in what they're learning.
Have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher, and if not, when did you discover?
Well, I always wanted to be a teacher. However, in my senior year of college, the first time around, I got cold feet.
Whoa.
And I didn't do so well that semester, and in fact did not graduate. And I went out and pursued another career for 10 years. I worked for nonprofit organizations and in office manager positions. And I went to one of my mentors and said, what's a way that I can better myself? And she said, well, you should seek volunteer opportunities. And I did. And then she said, do you realize that you're teaching in all of your volunteer opportunities? Each one that you've chosen involves teaching someone.
Wow.
And so that really was a realization that kind of brought me full circle that maybe that is what I should be doing. And when my son was 10 months old, I went back to school and basically started all over again because it was a very different process. And by working hard to achieve that goal of receiving my degree, it's just cemented for me that this is really what I should be doing.
So just like seeing the light bulb come on for your students, the light bulb came on.
Absolutely. It came on for me,
For you,
yes.
yes. So in your conversations and when you were volunteering and that kind of thing, and you reflect back, is there someone that you think that inspired you to make that decision?
Well, you know, I was saying that I do have a personal mentor that I worked for United Way of Tompkins County, and her name was Amy, and she was a wonderful help to me. She was one of the directors there. I also remember just having wonderful teachers growing up, and I had a science teacher, Mr. Brown, that taught 6th grade science through RAP, and he encouraged us to make pizzas to show the parts of a plant cell, and he really made me want to be the best science student that I could. And he encouraged me to be that type of teacher for my students as well.
So we talked about infusing technology on the campus, but when we think about our framework for quality instruction, DQ5 is all about engagement. We talked about purposefully planning the infusion of technology. How do you purposefully plan engagement?
Sure. You know, one of the things that I find really engages my students is by tying in whatever they're learning to their own personal experiences. And so we do that, and allowing time for review from previous lessons and then reflection on what they've just learned really helps to make that loop of bringing that learning into their long-term memory. Another thing that's very effective is peer discussion, letting the students have time to talk amongst themselves, giving them a very centered discussion topic, teaching them the behaviors that are associated with discussion, and then letting them talk it through themselves.
Is there something new or exciting that you're involved with for instructional purposes this year at Lakewood Park?
Well, you know, I'm in the 2nd year of what's known as the Teachers Leaders Cohort, which is a program of the district. And we started last year really diving into the Marzano framework and practicing and becoming, you know, sort of expert in using that to best affect teaching. And so now in the 2nd year, we're continuing that work. We're focusing also on a book that we're learning about called Mindset. And
Dweck.
Yes, and how to go out and teach those concepts in the school and how to be a leader for other teachers.
Ms. Young, what other activities is Ms. Alexander involved in? Because I know to be the Teacher of the Year, they help the school just naturally operate. So fill us in.
Absolutely. Rachel served on several committees, and not just attending the committee, but taking on leadership within the committees. One of the things at Lakewood Park we've really sought to do is to reach out into the community. Lakewood Park Elementary is not just Lakewood Park area. We actually have students from Fort Pierce area as well. So our community is a little bigger than it may seem. And one of the things that I've watched Rachel do is reach out to the families of our students and also of our new teachers coming on campus. Things like having them over to her house or delivering food to students and their families when they are in need. Building relationships that move way beyond the classroom and help to take our school out into the community so that we're a living, breathing voice within our community, and she has been a wonderful spokesperson for that area.
Speaking about being an ambassador, a spokesperson, oftentimes we call on the Teacher of the Year to speak to parents, to speak to students, community members. What would you say to a parent to help them ensure that their child is a success?
Well, you know, I really feel that a parent can help in many ways. And one way is just to set a routine that involves organization for school. When is homework done? What's the best time for your child to do homework? How do you make sure they've got their book bag and everything signed in the morning? Just setting that routine so that the child knows what to expect every day and that the parent is supporting them in those efforts. I also have a 3rd grade son at our school. So, you know, when I taught 2nd, he was in 2nd. Now I teach 3rd, he's in 3rd. He just can't get away from mom. And he's fine with that so far.
Yeah. He rides to school with mom. Yeah.
And he's perfectly happy with that for now. But, you know, we were working on our winter packet over the break recently and just really reading together. And I was questioning him about what he read. And not only was it helpful to him, but he really enjoyed it. And it sort of, you know, caused us to bond in that way.
So again, being a spokesperson, what would you say, what advice would you give to a new teacher?
Wow, you know, it wasn't very long ago that I was in those same shoes, and even though you have all these wonderful ideas that you've just learned in school, be open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. Be committed to work very hard, those first few years especially, and in an ongoing way. And also, don't be afraid to ask questions or ask for help when you need it, because there might be someone right down the hall that's going to be a wonderful resource to you.
Mrs. Young, please describe for Mrs. Alexander to us using 3 adjectives.
Okay, well, it's hard to limit it to 3, but I will give it my best try. First of all, she's very creative. And when I say that, I mean beyond lessons. Walking into her classroom draws you in because of the things that she has placed around the room so that her students are interested in their environment where they are. But also her talents move beyond just teaching. She's very creative with designs and with paintings and all kinds of things that she does for our students. I said before, she's transforming. She really is transforming of staff members as they grow professionally with our students. I've watched students over and over again just grow and blossom under her as their teacher. And then I have to say, transforming in the way that when we wanted to build a PTO to be strong, that she jumped in there too, and not just as a staff member, but as a mom, and shared her feelings about the school from a parent's point of view. Also dedicated, I have to say this, not only dedicated to the learning for her students, but of her own learning as well. She has been my Saturday partner many times there where she needed some time to study and work on her own classes that she's taking and her own dreams and aspirations for where she's headed in her career. And I believe she'll hit every last mark because of that level of dedication.
Hearing all of that, I have to ask this question. Why are you a teacher?
You know, that's a really tough question, and so many answers to that. And really, I just am so proud to have teaching as my profession. I feel like that it's what I was meant to do professionally, and it's just, it's so rewarding to see children and the growth that they make.
When will you know that you are a success?
Wow. You know, speaking to growth, I really think that success is measured by growth. For students, their growth is academic, and they grow behaviorally and socially, and that makes them successful. And as a teacher, being open to learning and growing professionally is what makes a successful teacher.
Ms. Young, again, when we talk about Ms. Alexander, what would you say to us to convince us that she is the perfect candidate for this Teacher of the Year honor?
A teacher's many things. Delivering a lesson is important. Building relationships is important. There are so many aspects of teaching. It's something that I think maybe outside of the educational field might be hard to understand. But the one thing I know about Rachel is that she has been able to communicate with a wide variety of people and explain to them the importance of education. And I think as Teacher of the Year, as ambassador for all of us in education, we have to be able to reach out to our community and to share the wonderful things that happen within the school. And then just as she explained before, how can they become involved with their students? How can our community become involved with our schools? What ways can we support each other so that we are growing a whole other generation of future leaders? Because that's our goal. We want our students to be successful. We want them to have doors opened for them. And I think that as an ambassador for teachers, she would do an excellent job at bridging that community and educational field kind of gap that sometimes exists.
I've asked you a lot of questions, Ms. Young. I've asked Ms. Alexander a lot of questions. But Ms. Young, is there anything else that you want to share with our viewers about your fantastic Teacher of the Year?
Well, let me just tell you that I was not at all surprised. Each year we do ask our staff to look at some of the attributes of a Teacher of the Year, and I was not at all surprised to see that Rachel was nominated for this honor because of the fact that she reaches out to so many people. It's a mom position that she's in, but also a teacher, a mentor, a student, a wife, works within the community, is a cheerleader for all of us. And I have to say is probably one of the most well-rounded teachers that I have ever worked with, reaching our community and our school as well.
So let me cause just a little more reflection as I ask my final two questions of you, Ms. Alexander. Reflect back your time before teaching, and in totality, knowing all that you know, all that you have experienced. What is it that you know for sure?
I know for sure that my purpose in life is to teach, to help students to learn in new ways, and then also to help others to be the best teachers that they can be.
So finish this phrase for me. I believe.
I believe that if you set high expectations for students, and if you set them in a way that's loving and consistent, that students will rise to meet those expectations every time.
Deanna Beeser said these words: teachers are like flowers. They spread their beauty throughout the world. And it's evident from my conversation that you're spreading your beauty to all those wonderful students in your third grade classroom, and as well as to your community at your site and your community that influences your school. So Ms. Young, thank you for celebrating with us. Ms. Alexander, thank you for coming.
So much.
And congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year for Lakewood Park Elementary School.
Thank you so much.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No. He's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
At this time, we welcome the very dynamic Miss Sarah Egan to our Teacher of the Year celebration show. She's representing the wonderful Rivers Edge Elementary. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
She's brought along with her the dynamic assistant principal at Rivers Edge, Miss Jennifer Ingersoll, to share with us as well. Miss Ingersoll, it's great to have you with us.
Yes, thank you.
Now, Miss Egan, you have been selected as the wonderful Teacher of the Year for Rivers Edge Elementary. But we have some viewers that may not know you or know your school. So would you please give us a little bit about your educational background, school that you attended, your major, what grade you're teaching, those kinds of things?
Okay. I am proud to say that I am a St. Lucie County student. I attended St. Lucie Elementary right before it turned into actually Rivers Edge when it was first built. So that's very unique. I went there for elementary school, and then I went to Lincoln Park Academy for 6th through 12th grade. I graduated there. I attended IRCC, which it was at the time, for my associate's degree, and then I moved to University of Central Florida in Orlando to get my bachelor's degree in elementary education.
It's great to have a product of St. Lucie Public Schools to come back to share and help prepare the next generation of students. So what grades do you teach, and what's all entailed there?
I have taught 3rd grade for 7 years. 6 of them were at St. Lucie Elementary, and I am excited to be at Rivers Edge from the first year this year.
Oh, great, great. In the years that you have been teaching, what would you say is your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching is really just the kids. They are so unique every year and day to day. It's always just a different story that's happening, you know, a different challenge that a child is facing. I just love seeing, you know, the new challenges that I have each year.
Now, I know that the students that you're teaching came into this world with some form of technology at their hands gripped. How do you purposefully infuse technology in instruction?
Within the classroom, we are using iReady, which is a computer-based program that the kids are diagnosed with a test for reading and math, so I can pull reports to make sure that they are achieving the reading and math that they need to be working on. Also, myself using technology with doing research and making sure I'm pulling the latest lessons that will engage them and keep it really hands-on for them.
When we look at the St. Lucie Public Schools framework for quality instruction, and we move over to DQ5, it's all about student engagement. The students that we're working with love technology, love being involved, love being very active. So how do you purposefully plan engagement for instruction?
It definitely has to be planned ahead of time with those engaging lessons. This year, I have really been using reciprocal teaching, which is student-led discussions.
Tough.
Yes, but it's very engaging for the kids. I have, modified different techniques for them that I make sure I get the most out of the lesson. But they are student-led discussions. They are very engaged. So I'm very excited to have started the student-led discussions this year.
Okay, Ms. Egan, have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you make that discovery?
I actually have always wanted to be a teacher. I am not only a product of St. Lucie, but my mom is also a teacher of St. Lucie County. So I have just watched, wanted to follow in her footsteps of seeing kids, come up to her at Publix and remember her from the years past. So I have always wanted to follow in those footsteps.
Okay, I'm going to go on and ask this question, even though I have a feeling I know the answer to this question. Who inspired you to be a teacher?
It absolutely has been my mom. She just, being able to grade papers at home for her as a child and being able to go into her classroom and just see all the things that she's being able to do with the kids' lives. It's definitely her.
Ms. Ingersoll, let's jump in with you as well. For our viewing audience that may not know you, please give us a little bit about your educational background.
I'm a graduate from Florida State University, and I have my master's degree from Arkansas State University for educational leadership. So,
I did not know that.
Yes.
Arkansas State University.
It was an online degree program.
Okay.
So I'm well versed in technology and learning using technology. Absolutely.
Yeah, I lived in Little Rock for many, many years before moving here. So when you visit Ms. Egan's class, what is it that you see and hear?
It's exactly what she talked about. She said that she's been using reciprocal teaching, and that's exactly what you hear when you walk in the classroom. The students are working together to not only solve problems, but also to really clarify their understanding of information. So it's not a quiet classroom because you hear students talking and using good questioning techniques and really trying to get to the meat of what they're learning about. So it's actually a really joyous room from my perspective because it's so good to have kids actively engaged in what they're doing and really working hard to understand things. So,
Ms. Egan, you mentioned reciprocal teaching, but is there something else new and or exciting that you're involved in this year at Rivers Edge?
There is. Rivers Edge is very unique to have Success for All as their reading program. And I have been asked to participate in peer coaching, which is I'm meeting with our reading coach and also the facilitator of Success for All monthly. I am setting goals. I'm being videotaped within my classroom with what I am doing and also what my kids are doing. We then sit down to reflect on what we saw, my strengths and my weaknesses, and then setting new goals. I've also been asked to attend the reading conference, Success for All conference this year, and I'm very excited to attend that.
Great. Ms. Ingersoll, we know to be the teacher of the year at any one of our sites, but at Rivers Edge Elementary, what other activities is Ms. Egan involved in that helps the total operation of the school?
Absolutely. Obviously, what you see in her classroom, so she's certainly a strong teacher, but she's also a leader for other teachers. She's her grade chair for third grade, so she has that leadership responsibility and working with the grade team, making sure that they really are attacking the standards and getting all the students in third grade up to the level that they need. She's also a member of Oscar & Company, which is our teacher appreciation group, and they work hard to make sure that teachers feel the appreciation that we have for them and also celebrate our little successes as we go out throughout the year. And then we have lots of parent involvement at Rivers Edge, and Mrs. Egan has stepped up and really been very supportive and helpful in coming out and helping with parents and leading third grade informational nights and things like that. So she's very well-rounded in what she brings to the table. Absolutely.
I've got to ask, Oscar & Company?
Yes. Well, our mascot is a otter, and it's Oscar the Otter. So yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So we're banding with Oscar to make sure we're all.
And when you celebrate teachers, it's just like going to the Oscars, right?
Exactly. There you go.
Okay. Now, Ms. Egan, back to you. As the Teacher of the Year, you serve as a spokesperson, an ambassador for Rivers Edge Elementary, oftentimes having to speak to students, maybe parents, community members. What is it that you might say to a student and or parent to help ensure that child becomes a success?
Letting the child and the parent know that every child is different. And so, their child's success may be different from someone else's success, and letting the child know that also, that their personal success is what we are there to achieve, not looking at the other kids. Also, telling the parent that the child, the effort that they're putting into the classroom, and also the child knowing that the effort that they are putting into the classroom will help with their success.
As Teacher of the Year, again, you're the spokesperson. Maybe you're the person that provides professional development. Sometimes we have to share information with new teachers. What advice would you give to a new teacher?
I have been able to be a mentor to new teachers in the past. I think it's a great program, the SHINE program that we have for the new teachers. I think that it is important for new teachers to know that they are never to stop learning, that you can learn from other teachers, you can learn from the students, and just to ask questions. You definitely always need to ask questions that you have.
Mrs. Ingersoll, please describe Ms. Egan for us using 3 adjectives and tell us why.
Okay. I would say that she's definitely a role model. She's a role model to her fellow teachers, and just her attention to detail, her use of data to really drive her instruction, really analyzing each of her students, as she said, individually and looking to see what's best for them. And then she's a role model to her kids, how she interacts with them and her personality. Just really kind of demonstrates for students how they can interact. As she does so much student-led discussion, you can see it. How she talks to them, they mimic that and do that straight back to each other. It's really a neat thing to see. She's very compassionate. She really attempts to really understand where the kids are coming from and understand them as individuals. And then she's extremely flexible. Anything we've asked her to do. I mean, her first time at Rivers Edge, and she comes with a unique perspective with her SFA background as a student and now as a teacher. And she was so willing to step up and be that liaison and really kind of be that teacher that we're going to go to this year and kind of learn from as a model. What is it like to teach at a successful school? So her willingness to do that really kind of stands out, that she's just kind of one of our go-to people.
Okay. Ms. Egan, again, I want you to begin to reflect as a product of the district, with your background, the different schools that you've worked. Why are you a teacher?
I am a teacher for many reasons, but really it's for the kids. I want them to be successful. I want them to want to be a product of St. Lucie County also. I want them to grow up to be just, successful. So I am a teacher really just for the kids.
I'm going to piggyback then off the word you just used, successful, and ask you, when will you know that you are a success?
I have already felt like I've been a success. Any day and every day that one of my kids, get something for the first time that they have really been struggling for, that light bulb that goes off, I definitely feel very successful. When other teachers come to me to ask questions and to learn from me, I think that makes me feel successful also.
Mrs. Ingersoll, I see and I hear the passion when Ms. Egan speaks, but tell us, what makes her the perfect candidate for this Teacher of the Year honor?
I think she really is the complete package. We talk about quality of teaching. How are you with your kids? How are you with understanding the standards? Can you communicate with them? She does. she's able to really bring it to the classroom. And then when we look for teachers to go beyond the classroom and impact the staff and the faculty we have at our school, she does that as well. She has had an impact in the fact that she's the grade chair this year and really helping her fellow teachers understand the standards and kind of really go to that next level and making sure that we're meeting the students' needs. And then finally, we look to see teachers who are working with parents in the community. And again, her willingness to step in and stay late nights and interact with parents and make it really a community school. She does all those things. She's a complete package.
So let's wrap it up. I know I've given you a few opportunities to speak, Mrs. Ingersoll, but is there anything else that you want to share with us about Ms. Egan and why she is the Teacher of the Year at Rivers Edge?
I think, you know, at every school they have different ways of choosing who's going to be the Teacher of the Year, and I think what's interesting to me is that our staff chose Ms. Egan to be Teacher of the Year, and that really stands out to me that in such a short amount of time that she's made such an impact on all of the staff that they chose her to represent them for St. Lucie County. Just kind of speaks to how obvious her character is and that she's a strong person with a caring heart and knows what she's talking about and brings a lot to the table. And she just obviously stands out not only to me, but to the rest of our staff. So we're very proud of Ms. Egan, absolutely.
Okay, Ms. Egan, I'm going to cause you to reflect just a little while longer as I ask you our final two questions. What is it? And when you answer this question, think total. Think total. What is it that you know for sure?
What I know for sure is that no matter what obstacle a child has in front of them, where they've come from, because I have worked with some kids, you know, of different backgrounds, that all children are capable of success.
Last question, and I need you to finish this phrase. I believe.
That word belief at our school this year has been very,
strong
very
word there. Strong words at Rivers Edge.
It is. Being a Kid at Hope school, this is my first time being involved with Kids at Hope. It is a very powerful program that we have. We say the pledge every day. So when I hear that, I believe part of the teacher pledge is that I believe that all children are capable of success, and there's no exceptions to that.
Let me leave you with these words, and although the author is unknown, when I hear about the impact that you're having on teachers, on learning, on students, these words seem very fitting for you when it says, a good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. Thank you for all you're doing to help Rivers Edge be the success for all school that it is, and for brightening and lighting the way for those students as well as those teachers. Ms. Ingersoll, thank you for sharing with us today on this Teacher of the Year celebration show. And Ms. Egan, congratulations on your selection for Teacher of the Year there as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're doing great. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, button the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep pedaling.
Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners and you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
And at this time, we're going to welcome to our Teacher of the Year celebration show, Miss Rebecca Dumont, who's the fabulous Teacher of the Year at Dan McCarty Middle School. Welcome.
Thank you.
Allow me to also tell you congratulations on your selection.
Thank you very much.
Along with Ms. Dumont is the fabulous principal, Ms. Felicia Nixon, who is running things at Dan McCarty. Ms. Nixon, welcome also.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. Good to be here.
This is our opportunity to introduce the Teacher of the Year for all of our sites to our viewing audience so that they can get a better idea of the wonderful teaching staff that we have here in St. Lucie Public Schools. So at this time, I want to ask you if you would briefly introduce yourself to our viewers. Maybe tell us the school that you attended, your major, what you're teaching at this time, and your areas of certification.
Okay. I
went to high school in Buffalo, New York, and after high school I graduated from the University at Buffalo with early childhood.
Okay.
And then I took a couple years off and moved to New Hampshire and went and got my master's degree in elementary education, and student taught first grade in New Hampshire and then was hired in Florida. And I packed up and I moved to Florida and started teaching at Dan McCarty. I taught fourth grade at Dan McCarty for 3 years, and then I moved up to sixth grade, and I now teach world history, sixth grade. And my certifications are K through 6, elementary education, and ESOL endorsement.
Well, again, congratulations, and we're so glad to have you. And I'm sure the staff at Dan McCarty Middle School is excited to have you represent them as the Teacher of the Year. So let's jump right in. Tell us, what's your favorite part of teaching?
Well, that's easy. It's the students. I love coming to school every day and seeing them and watching them develop with the relationships I build. You know, the beginning of the year, they're shy and they don't know you, and then you get to know them, and within a month, they're your best friends once you get to know them and they really just develop.
So have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher, or was that something that you discovered later?
I actually didn't know I wanted to be a teacher. I'm very shy. I'm naturally shy, so I never thought I could be a teacher. When I was going through my undergrad, I worked in early childhood development, and I worked with infants all the way up to preschool. And I realized I love working with kids. And as I moved up through the different ages, said I just want to keep going. So I went and got my master's. I never thought I'd be a teacher. I didn't think I could do it. And then I decided working with kids was where I'm passionate.
So when you were working with those students and discovered that passion, did you ever reflect on maybe there was a teacher in your past or teachers that possibly inspired you to make that decision?
That's interesting you ask, because I more so have coworkers and peers that inspired me, because as a student, I kind of fell through the cracks. I was shy, so I would kind of get by not getting to know the teachers, and that's why I love working with the students I work with, because I go for those students that are kind of shy and they stand back a little bit, and I want to make sure they're involved. I want to make sure they participate. I want to make sure they don't slip through the cracks.
Ms. Nixon, just in case there may be someone viewing that does not know the fantastic Felicia Nixon, would you please tell us a little bit about your background as well?
Okay, from my background, I started teaching in Tallahassee, Florida. And I taught second grade, I've taught fourth grade, I taught in Tallahassee. And then I moved to Jacksonville, taught there. And then from Jacksonville, I moved here to St. Lucie County, and I've been here for almost 17 years, I believe. Yes, going on 17 years. And here in St. Lucie County, I've had the opportunity to teach at FK Suite Elementary. I have served as assistant principal at FK Suite Elementary. I've served as assistant principal at that point it was St. Lucie West Middle School. I've served as principal of Longwood Elementary, principal of C.A. Moore, and I'm so excited to be a middle school principal at Dan McCarty, home of the Eagles.
So when you walk into Ms. Dumont's class, tell us, what is it that you see and hear?
Well, what I appreciate about Ms. Dumont's class is that there's a lot of student-to-student interaction, teacher-to-student interaction, and she facilitates learning, and the students are utilizing different sources to support their research, to support their analysis, to support their understanding of content. She utilized various digital and other various media resources to enhance their understanding. You also see students generating their hypotheses and formulating their own opinions, and you see them coming together to collaborate, and you really see students who seek to understand the content, because she delivers it in such a way that is attainable. She makes learning attainable and accessible to all students, and there's a great sense of community within Ms. Dumont's classroom.
Ms. Dumont, The students that we are working with today, they're very savvy when it comes to the use of technology. So how do you purposefully plan to infuse technology in instruction?
Well, as a social studies teacher, we have History Fair every year, which is a great opportunity for them to conduct, for most of them, their very first research project, where we get to go to the lab and they're using the internet and they're now starting to find primary sources on their own. They really get a chance to excel on the computer in that opportunity. We also have now Office 365 for the students to use, which has been a great resource because there are places there where the students can share online documents with their group members they're working with. They can digitally edit it together. So you don't even have to be looking at the same screen to be looking at the same document. And just kind of learning this technology is really going to help them later in life if they know how to compose an appropriate email, send appropriate documents.
Our framework for quality instruction is based on over 60 years of quality research. Part of that research is what we talk about engagement, DQ5. So how do you purposefully use engagement to deliver your lessons?
Well, technology, is a huge piece of engagement right there. As soon as you put them in front of a computer and they know that's like a center they can go to, it automatically spikes their interest. I love pulling intriguing video clips for them as well. Being world history, there's so much out there. You have virtual field trips. There's a website, AirPano, which they're helicopters and they tour the areas we study and you can see them in real life, in real time, and they're just absolutely amazed by some of the things they're able to see inside the classroom.
Is there something new and or exciting that you're working on this year?
Well, this year is the very first year I'm Social Studies Department Chair, which is the first year I've actually taken a leadership role with a group of other teachers, and I'm really enjoying the sharing of information, teaching them how to use the different pieces of technology in Microsoft 365, and it's just been a great opportunity for growth, leadership.
Ms. Nixon, as the Teacher of the Year, that person is usually heavily involved in many aspects of life at our schools. Tell us some of the other things that Ms. Dumont may be involved with.
I don't think she's given herself enough credit because she's just all over the place.
That's usually the case.
That's usually the case. But let me tell you about Ms. Dumont. Ms. Dumont is a department chair. But you know, leadership does not always carry a title. And she doesn't know it, but she's been a big leader, a big supporter of teachers from various disciplines. She collaborates with all department chairs. She is a leader when it comes to our dance team, our cheerleading team. She is very supportive of those students. She supports our Enrichment Day activities, which Enrichment Day is something that we do monthly. She's the leader of our Martin Luther King Parade float, which is coming up, and she has some great ideas. So we know that our float will be a great piece this year. She is very instrumental when it comes to new teachers. She is a teacher mentor, and she is one that is very dependable. She's on time for meetings. She's very considerate of her colleagues, and teachers go to her room to observe. She is definitely a leader, and I'm talking about teachers from various disciplines, because in her room she demonstrates a great classroom management style and a great sense of community again within her classroom. So she's involved in various aspects of the Dan McCarty school community.
So would I be correct if I said she used to be shy?
You know what? She probably is, but she is out of her shell when it comes to the kids.
Okay.
I think
I do understand.
Yes. I think, am I correct to say that, Ms.
It's
Dumont?
different. It's different when you're in front of a class.
Absolutely.
Ms. Nixon.
Yes.
Do us a favor, please, and describe Ms. Dumont using 3 adjectives and tell us why those adjectives.
You know, I appreciate Ms. Dumont because she's very conscientious. She's very concerned about the feelings of the students, and she's concerned about the culture of the school, and she's concerned about different aspects of Dan McCarty and school life at our school. The conscientious piece goes beyond just her four walls.
Mm-hmm.
She's concerned about the entire school community. I would also describe Ms. Dumont as very creative, very, very creative. When you walk into her classroom, it's almost like entering, it definitely is a tech-savvy classroom, okay, because the bulletin boards are, she has her own Facebook page, she has her own website. She does different things to engage the students beyond the classroom. Very, very creative. And she even, so creative that she even used her own sewing, her own sewing ability to repair some of our uniforms. And that's creativity, because I tell you one thing, I don't know how to sew. So her creativity is endless. Another piece, when it comes to describing Rebecca, she's very collaborative. If she has an idea, it's your idea. She's going to share, she's going to initiate and share her talent, share her passion, and inspire others to do the same.
Ms. Dumont, what impact do you see yourself having on a student's ability to be career and or college ready?
Well, one thing I do with my class is we do a lot of writing responses where they have to cite textual evidence and prove a claim. They have to do that, and being able to do that accurately is going to help them later in life. Being able to write an appropriate email is something that's going to help them later in life. They're just getting access to different things like that will help them. Career readiness is just everywhere. It's social skills, learning how to talk to an adult, learning how to talk to their peers, even if they feel like they don't like somebody, learning how to be respectful at the same time. Because sometimes you're not going to like everybody, and they need to get those social skills and work with them on that.
Now, we've spoken a lot about the work that you do, but we're going to change our focus just a little bit, and for you, this may be kind of tough, because I'm going to ask you to speak more about you as a person, as a teacher. So let's start off by asking, why are you a teacher?
Because I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I couldn't imagine being in an office. I couldn't imagine working with adults. I love working with children. I love watching them grow and develop and grow up. I had a student visit me right before winter break. He's in 11th grade and just came to visit. And it's just so heartwarming because he comes back and he just wants to know what's going on. How are things? You know, and watching them just become young adults. It's truly the best thing you can do with your life.
So when will you know that you are a success?
I feel like I'm a success when I have that trust, that relationship with the student, that they can come to me no matter what. And they know that I'm there for them no matter what. And I know that I will be there for them.
Ms. Nixon, you have the opportunity to experience the joy of watching Ms. Dumont work with students and staff members each and every day. Knowing what you know, knowing what we've spoken about this evening, seeing what you see regularly, what makes her the perfect candidate for this honor?
You know, what I appreciate, there are many things I appreciate about Miss Rebecca Dumont, but she really does have a talent to really shift gears. And she understands the makeup of her classes. And she understands the learning goal and the tasks that are involved with students achieving mastery. and she is willing to watch and observe the students and monitor their progress, and if necessary, she is able to switch gears in order to differentiate to make students successful right where they are. So she has a keen understanding of the content, and she knows her students, and she understands their ability levels, and she's able to shift gears to make the content accessible. When you see her teaching, she covers everything from China to King Tut, you know, all of those interesting topics. And she knows how to engage them, and she knows how to make it meaningful. And again, she utilizes technology to support the learning in the classroom.
Is there anything else that you may want to share with us about Ms. Dumont?
It really is a pleasure to work with Ms. Dumont. I heard a lot about Ms. Dumont prior to joining to the Dan McCarty family, and she definitely is a jewel. She reaches out to parents at least weekly. She's attending at least two to three parent conferences that she initiates. And after those parent conferences, I'm always hearing from parents that, you know, Ms. Nixon, my child has a really good teacher who cares. She demonstrates an understanding of student learning and the learning process. And she demonstrates care, genuine care for the students and their development. She's a strong teacher. She's got it all. She's the total package. She has the content knowledge. She's a caring individual, and she definitely understands the art and science of instructional delivery. And I'm just so happy to work with Ms. Dumont. She definitely is a jewel, and it really is a pleasure to see her in action with her students.
Ms. Dumont, as we come to the close, I want you to focus on everything that you are involved with. You as a person, the work that you do with your colleagues, the work that you do with students, the work that you do in making education better, just in total. And tell us, what is it that you know for sure?
I know for sure that all students are capable of success. I know for sure that all students can make growth, make gains, and be successful and move on with their lives and find a career.
So tell me this. I want to give you a phrase starter, and I want you to complete the phrase. I believe
with care and compassion that you can change a child's life for the better.
Franklin Roosevelt said these words, Ms. Dumont. He said, "We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future." And it's evident by speaking with you that the work that you're doing in transforming those lives of the students, they're going to be prepared for their future. So congratulations to you on your selection as Teacher of the Year. Ms. Nixon, thank you for bringing her. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate the Teachers of the Year for our school district, and you tonight as the Teacher of the Year for Dan McCarty Middle School. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Right, mi cariño. So like I said, everything I learned about cooking, I learned from Grandma's empanadas. Shall we go again? Yep. Mix beef with the onions with the peppers with the paprika the garlic with the oregano with the cumin. Got it? Got it. Throw on the olives, stir, season, stir again, pour out the flour, roll out the dough, make a circle, drop in a fistful of filling, fold over, press down, and ta-da!
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Joining us now from Westgate K8 School is Miss Jessica Berggren, who is the fantastic Teacher of the Year at that site. Welcome to our Teacher of the Year celebration show.
Thank you.
She's brought with her the fantastic Miss Pacocha, who's the wonderful principal at Westgate this year as well. Welcome again.
Thank you for having us.
On behalf of the school district, Ms. Bergen, we want to celebrate you, and we also tell you congratulations on this honor and this selection. But just in case we have some members of our viewing audience that just may not know you, would you please give us a little bit of your educational background, what grade or grades you teach in a subject, where you studied, your certification, those types of things?
Sure. Currently, I'm a first grade teacher at Westgate. I got my bachelor's degree at Messiah College in Pennsylvania and my master's degree in math, science, and technology at Hofstra University in New York.
Well, we're so excited to have you on this Teacher of the Year Celebration Salute show. And we'll start off by asking, what's your favorite part of teaching?
That's an easy question. It's the kids. I enjoy interacting with them, seeing their faces light up today when they haven't seen me for 2 weeks, and just getting them thinking and loving school and loving learning.
We also know that our students come to school knowing so much about technology. They're so savvy with technology. How do you purposefully infuse the use of technology in your instruction?
One way that I use technology, I have an Interwrite pad or a board where I can use it, or the kids can use it on the screen and doing math problems or underlining sentences in a passage. We also, in our pod, have a smart board in a classroom, so we take turns and get to go use the smart board and do lessons as well. We also just got iStation at our school. I guess it's similar to iReady, and the kids use that as part of their learning centers, their literacy centers.
When we look at the St. Lucie Public Schools Framework for Quality Instruction, and we move all the way over to the right, we know that DQ5 is about engagement. When you think about the use of technology in the classroom and the way these students learn and interact with each other, how do you purposefully plan engagement for instruction and for learning?
I use a lot of whole brain teaching techniques, which incorporates motions and gestures as well as callbacks to stimulate all the areas of the brain. So when I'm teaching, the children are interacting with me. It's not just me talking and them listening all the time. And I also use a lot of Kagan structures, so the children will work cooperatively and get chances to preview what they're learning, review what they're learning with each other. And so those are two of the big ways that I try to engage my students.
Have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you make that discovery?
I don't know that I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. I knew I always wanted to do something with children. And it wasn't probably till high school that I kind of nailed down teaching as how I wanted to do what I wanted to do with children.
When you got to high school and you'd already been at least through kindergarten plus 8 other grades, do you think when you made that decision there was some teacher or teachers that actually inspired you to make that decision?
I was very lucky. I had an amazing education. I had fabulous teachers all growing up. It wasn't actually till college that I had one teacher that kind of defined how I would teach. My reading professor, her name was Anita Voker, and I already knew I wanted to be a teacher at that point, but she really inspired me to be the teacher that I am today.
I think we all can pinpoint at least one teacher along the way. For me, it's Miss Madison in 5th grade, a fantastic teacher, and of course, I could go on with middle school and high school as well. Let's get Ms. Pacocha involved in our conversation. Welcome to the show again. Tell our viewing audience just a little bit about your background as well.
I'm actually also from Pennsylvania. I went to Newman College there and graduated with a bachelor's degree in elementary and early childhood education, and then I went and got my master's at Ball State.
Now, I'm hearing a lot of teachers talk about these Kagan strategies, Ms. Pacocha. Can you explain for our viewers just what a Kagan strategy is, some kind of definition so they'll have a better understanding?
The best way to describe a Kagan strategy would be a different way to use engagement strategies to get the kids engaged, but also an opportunity for all students to be able to voice their understanding and making sure that the students and the teachers know that the students have an understanding of what is being taught.
Now, when you visit Mrs. Bergen's class, tell us, what is it that you see and hear?
The first word that comes to mind would be enthusiasm. She's very enthusiastic, as well as the students. They're very eager to learn. She's constantly setting high goals for all of her students, and the students are very motivated to make sure that they achieve those goals.
Ms. Bergen, is this something new or exciting that you're involved in this year with instruction?
I've really started being more mindful actually about integrating some STEM lessons and units into our curriculum. As a first grade team, we try to plan collaboratively, and this year we've done some sink and floats with boats, and they had to build their own boats. So we are really trying to be more mindful of adding STEM.
And for our viewing audience, just in case they don't understand
Sure.
STEM.
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Great, great, great. With that, you're often called to speak to different groups because you are the ambassador for education at Westgate. It could be parents, community members, maybe even students. What would you say to a student and our parents to make sure that they work hard to ensure that their child is a success?
For me, as a first grade teacher, I think the most important thing is reading.
Mm-hmm.
Reading, not just to read for answering questions, but to read for the love of it. And that's a big part of, in first grade, what I think makes them successful, when they love to read and they want to open up a book and see what's happening in a story. I think that is a huge thing, that read with your children.
Those who read succeed. Mm-hmm. Reading is foundational for every other kind of learning that those students will have to do along the way. Mrs. Pacocha, we talked about what's new and exciting for Ms. Bergen, but to be the Teacher of the Year, we know that they're heavily involved in all of the activities that just make our schools operate. Can you tell us about some other things that she may be involved in?
She's responsible for quite a few things on our campus.
How did I know?
A few years ago, she was one of the starting cohorts that began with the collaborative facilitator training with the district. She's actually brought those skills back and done professional developments for our entire school. Being a K8 school, sometimes it's difficult to merge the two of an elementary and a middle school, and she's been able to use that collaboration to make sure they become successful throughout the entire K8 system. In addition, she's a first grade team leader, and her team is always turning to her and making sure that anything they need, she's there for them. She's always staying up to date on all the new changes and making sure that everybody's informed of what's going on. In addition to that, she also does professional development for us throughout the year. We actually had a teacher showcase this year where she presented how to take a common assessment and look at the data so that they can make sure that all students are successful and really pinpoint the areas that the teachers and the team may need to look at to work on with those students. But overall, she's a person that can be very supportive and dependable and approachable, and she's very easy to go to and get that information.
All characteristics of a Teacher of the Year. So while we're on characteristics, do me a favor, Mrs. Pacocha, describe her using 3 adjectives, and then tell us why.
3 adjectives. I would say passionate. Mm-hmm. The reason I say passionate is because she's very passionate about teaching, about students, but she's also passionate about making sure that all students can achieve their highest level possible. She works with all students based on whatever needs they may have. She also works with the parents, making sure they have the supports in place and they are available to know that. I'd also say that she is approachable, which I think is a big thing in a large school like ours, and working with parents and students and teachers and different staff members, that they're always willing to go to Jessica and ask her for help for something, or have you found anything new on this? So they can always turn to her no matter what staff member. She's very approachable and easy to talk to. Same with the students. Like I said, you walk in her classroom, the kids adore her. They're very excited to see her every single day. And the last one, I would have to say, dependable. Mm-hmm. Dependable because you can always count on her no matter what. Mm-hmm. Not only as the administrative staff, the teachers, the parents can count on her, and the students as well. They know every single day that she's going to be there. She's going to be working as hard as possible to get them to achieve those goals. And I think those are 3 strong characteristics. There's several more I'd like to say, but if I was to pick 3, I would say those were the 3 top ones.
Yeah,
that really...
you had to nail it down, didn't you? Ms. Bergen, back to you. we talked about what you would say to a parent and or to a student. And with all of the professional development that you're doing with being a team leader, sometimes you have to deal with new teachers. What advice would you offer to them?
Well, first, don't sweat the small stuff. Everything always gets done. We're bombarded with a lot of things these days as teachers, so that would be the first thing. Everything always will get done. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because I will help you no matter what. When I was a first-year teacher, I was afraid to ask for help because I thought, I'm supposed to know everything, but it's okay. It's okay not to know everything.
We've spoken about your background. We've spoken about what's your favorite part of teaching, engagement for students, infusion of technology into your lessons. So we're kind of backing into this next question after we've laid the framework there. Why are you a teacher?
I'm a teacher because I want to make a difference in children's lives. As a first grade teacher, that means setting the foundation, as you mentioned earlier, for everything else they're going to do. And I want them to have a wonderful experience. I want them to love learning. I want them to love school. And that's kind of my calling, is to make my children in my classroom be as much as they can possibly be for as little time that I have them.
Knowing that it is your calling, and with all that you know and all that you've experienced, all that you continue to do to make students better, to make education better, schools better, when will you know that you are a success?
I guess everybody's definition of success is different, but I gauge my success. It's not monetary, it's not, this is great teacher of the year, but I base my success on my students, and if I have a boy or a girl who come in and they can't read, and they work really hard all year, and I give them different opportunities to learn or different ways to learn, and by the end of the year they're reading, that's my success, to see that they've accomplished so much in that short amount of time.
Mrs. Pacocha, being selected the Teacher of the Year is a major honor at every level. What makes Mrs. Berggren the perfect candidate for this honor?
Her passion behind teaching and the love for her students. If you were to ask any of her team members, they would say that she could, they could turn to her at any single time and anything they needed. Throughout the summer, they even get together and talk about different things. And if they're a family, they truly come together. And the characteristics she has definitely are one of a Teacher of the Year. And she goes over and beyond. It's not just within the classroom, it's not just within Westgate, but she also shares that passion outside of our school. She has her own blog where she talks about different things in the area of teaching. She's also created curriculum for not only people in our school, but also nationwide that they can access and things like that. And her passion just for student achievement and the research she does to make sure that keeping up on all the new things, that she definitely is a strong candidate, I would say, for this recognition.
Ms. Berggren, what do you know for sure? And when you answer this question, think about it in totality, okay? Not necessarily just limited to education, but it can be all-encompassing. What do you know for sure?
I think for me, education, and what I know for sure is that it's a challenge. It's always changing. We always have to be up to date. And I know that children will always need teachers to guide them. They need their parents, they need teachers. We all need to work together to guide them so they can learn. And so it's one of those things that education, the standards might change, the curriculum might change, but those two things, with parents and teachers working together, if they have that, they will be successful.
I totally agree with you. Here's your chance, Mrs. Pacocha. Is there anything that you haven't shared with us about Mrs. Berggren that you want our viewers to know?
I would say that she's one of the top teachers that I've seen in all the years I've been here in St. Lucie County. She goes over and beyond the everyday routine things that teachers need to do. She reaches out to all parents. Parents are comfortable to contact her. Kids are engaged constantly in her classroom and striving to meet those goals. Like I said, she does the research outside of the system, as well as she's reached out to different states. I know in Michigan she reached out to the National Theater to come down and actually present at our school, and was on a waiting list for quite a few years to get them to come down here. But she's always looking for new opportunities and great things for student achievement, and she will go that extra mile and beyond that to make sure that all students, not just her own, but everyone in Westgate, do succeed.
Mrs. Berggren, here's your final question. And with you being the Teacher of the Year, you are ingrained with many beliefs. So finish this phrase for me, please. I believe.
I believe that education at the younger age, where I teach in first grade, is extremely important. It's the foundation for all other learnings. It's the building block. And so I really believe that what I do is so important for every child's future, for if they will go to college or get a job outside of school or a technical institute of whatever kind, that what they learn in my classroom, they will take with them.
Well, I'm going to finish our interview and our conversation today with the words of William James when he said, "The teachers of this country, one might say, have its future in his hands." And it's very evident by the work that you're doing with your first grade students, as well as what you're sharing with your colleagues, that you're taking seriously the work and the future that you have in your hands, preparing them all. So again, congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Westgate K8 School. Mrs. Pacocha, thank you for joining us as well, and we look forward to great things from you in the future. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time.
Joining us at this time is the very dynamic George Ramming Jr., the Teacher of the Year from Lincoln Park Academy, and he's brought along with him his very fantastic principal, Mr. Henry Sanabria. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hello.
This is our opportunity to celebrate the great work that's being done by all those that have been selected as Teachers of the Year for their specific sites. But Mr. Ramming, just in case somebody does not know who George Ramming Jr. is, would you please tell our viewers just a little bit about your background? Make sure you include your field of study, where you studied, your degree, certification, those kinds of things.
Well, I'm George Ramming Jr. I grew up here. I was born and raised here in Fort Pierce, Florida. I went to school here. I'm a product of St. Lucie Schools. I went to Fort Pierce Central High School. And from there, I graduated and went to Bethune-Cookman College, which is now Bethune-Cookman University. And my major was music education. And after that, I went straight into, I was employed by Indian River County. I taught there for 4 years. And then I moved to Palm Beach County, where I taught for 12. And I moved back here, and this is where I've been all the time.
Now, Mr. Ramming, you're at Lincoln Park, and you are the fantastic choral maestro there. But being at Lincoln Park, you don't necessarily just teach high school students. Explain that to us, those grades and subjects that you may teach.
Well, right now, currently, I am the choral director. I'm over all choral activities from grades 6 through 12. And then I also do the sound engineering class as well. That class is responsible for preparing students to work the auditorium, and we have a TV production room in which those students are prepared to work the equipment and actually run the show, pretty much to say. And I do other things too, but that's basically it.
Well, being over the choral program in grades 6 through 12, is there one chorus or multiple choruses?
There are multiple choruses within the choral program. We have a high school concert chorale, we have a women's chorale, we have the Rhapsody Show Choir. We have the 8th grade chorus and the 6th and 7th grade singing Greyhounds chorus.
Okay. Mr. Sanabria, once again, welcome to the show as well. There may be somebody that does not know the fantastic Henry Sanabria. Would you please give us a little bit about your background as well?
Well, thank you for that fine introduction there. But yes, I am the principal of Lincoln Park Academy, and I've been at Lincoln Park Academy as the principal for this being my 2nd year. I actually started my teaching career at Lincoln Park Academy just about 11 years ago as an English teacher. I taught high school English and worked my way up. I became the IB coordinator there, and then I became an assistant principal. After several years serving as an assistant principal at Lincoln Park Academy, I transferred to Treasure Coast High School, where I served as an assistant principal there for 2 years, and then came back home. So loving being back at Lincoln Park Academy. I will say that prior to becoming an educator, I was in the military for over 21 years. I retired from the United States Air Force, and that my last 5.5 years in the Air Force, that's where I gained my passion for education, because I took on a position as a combat instructor, and I enjoyed teaching adults. And I told myself, well, if I can teach big babies, why not teach the little ones?
Well, before we go on, let me thank you for your service. Mr. Ramming, back to you. The students that we teach today are basically born with some kind of technology in their hand. Every time you look up, there they are playing something. How do you naturally infuse technology or the use of technology in instruction?
Well, in my instruction, usually I will have, we have a CAV system that we use, and a lot of the stuff I will simply download a lot of stuff, because our students learn by sight. They also learn by sight and by hearing. So I usually pull down stuff of interest that they would need to have. But I also will give them websites that they can go and visit, that they can work, that can help them work on their stuff individually, as well as stuff that we're working on in class. We have different type of recording equipments that students can use and that type of stuff, and I allow them the opportunity to even bring in some of the stuff that they may come up with to use in the classroom.
I like to think that those of us that work in what is termed as co-curricular classes, the resource classes, our students naturally live in what we call DQ5, which is the engagement portion of our quality framework, for our instruction for quality framework. So knowing that we naturally live in DQ5, how do you purposefully plan engagement for your students?
Well, the first thing is that I explain to my kids that we're a team, and so we have to work together as a team. When I'm making my plans, for instance, for the chorus, I know that there's going to have to be a time when we have to group them in certain groups. So sopranos will be in one group, the altos will be in the other groups. But what it does is it affords every kid to be engaged. Not only the students, but me as myself, I have to be engaged with them. So it's fortunate that we're in the situation that we're in, because the kids who are there, they want to be there, they want to learn, and the stuff that we're offering, they just automatically want to be engaged in the activities that's happening in the class.
Mr. Sanabria, when you visit the chorus room or the sound engineering room and Mr. Ramming is instructing, what is it that you see and hear?
Well, I see engagement. I hear a lot of collaboration. But quite honestly, I feel energy. That's what comes out of his classroom. When you walk into Mr. Ramming's classroom, it is energized, and you really feel it. And you see students helping one another, collaborating with one another, providing input to one another. And it's almost like basically a melodic collaboration, if you will.
That's very profound when you can walk into a room and you feel the energy, the synergy of what's going on without even having to do anything else. Mr. Ramming, with that being said, what would you say is your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching is being with my students and being engaged with my students, especially when we're working together for a certain goal, when we've set that certain goal and we're working together to achieve that goal. That's the best time, and allowing the students to be who they are and the students allowing me to be who I am, and just naturally engaging with each other and enjoying that engagement.
Have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher, and if not, when did you discover?
Well, you know, I come from a family of educators. My mother and father were educators here in St. Lucie County. My mother was principal at Garden City. My father was principal at C.A. Moore. So I grew up in that educational thing, and what happened was I watched them, I watched what they were doing, and you know, it was intriguing, but I don't think I really knew that I wanted to be a teacher until after I was approached by one of my professors at Bethune-Cookman, and she said to me she thought that I was a good candidate for being a great choral director. And at that time, I really didn't even believe her, but evidently what she said was right. But that's basically when I decided, you know, maybe I can do this, and I like kids, so that wasn't a problem at all.
Knowing that your parents were both educators and the conversation that you had with the professor at the Bethune-Cookman College, can you point out a person or persons that inspired you to become an educator?
Well, certainly I have to start with my parents first. My father was a great role model, great educational role model, and so was my mother as well. Excuse me. But I had teachers like Mr. Earl Little, and then when I went to Bethune-Cookman College, we had teachers like Ron Corbin, who was the former choral director at Martin County High School. And so I had people that I could look at and emulate, and they inspired me. I was just really inspired.
Is there something new or exciting this year that's got you going that you may be involved in?
Yeah, we're getting ready for a district choral festival. We're getting ready for solo and ensemble. We have a national choral trip that we're planning on, and you know, we compete basically every year. So it's exciting to get back into the competition mode. As a matter of fact, today when the students came in, they were like, "Okay, Mr. Raymond, it's time to go. It's time to get pumped up." So, you know, they're excited. I'm excited. You know, the whole competition season is really exciting.
Mrs. Santabria, to be the Teacher of the Year, we know that those persons on our campus basically help make the school function. They're there for all of the things that help us operate. Can you tell us about some other activities that Mr. Rami may be involved in that just basically make the school work?
Well, just his presence at the school definitely helps to make the school work. He is a vital part of our culture. But he also assists his colleagues, those who are also in the performing arts programs, by way of ensuring that when they have their performances, they go off without a hitch. His sound engineering and music technology students are always there to assist in every endeavor when it comes to auditorium operations and sound and lighting operations. And he's there leading the way. So those performances always go off very, very well. So he assists with that. But he also is vital when it comes to assisting the community when they need to use Lincoln Park Academy's auditorium. Who else do we call upon to ensure that the lighting is working, that the sound is right, that everything goes off without a hitch? Mr. Rami. So it's those little things that a lot of people don't see, the behind the scenes things that help our daily operations, not only for the school, but also for the community work.
Mr. Rami, as the Teacher of the Year, we often use that person as the ambassador for education at our site. Oftentimes, we may want them to speak with students or with parents, community members. If you had an opportunity or was called upon to speak to parents or students, what would you say to them to help ensure that that child remains a success?
Well, I would say to them first that education is very important. Knowledge is power, and that it's very important that they acquire that knowledge so that they have something that they can fall back on, because no one can ever take that away from you. And just the fact that things will happen, but to always persevere and to keep striving forward. And if you continue that, you can't help but be successful.
I'm also very aware that the district often calls upon you to mentor and to assist in district-wide activities in choral music. And doing so, you have to work with your vocal colleagues. So what advice would you give to them or to new teachers if you had an opportunity to share with them?
Well, what I would share with them is that, one, the field that they're in is a great opportunity to plant those seeds and to water those seeds and to grow wonderful, productive citizens and wonderful people. So the opportunity is there, and they should grab that opportunity. But not only that, but music itself is such they call it the universal language, and they call it that simply because it is. And that what music can do and how it works through kids' lives and how it changes lives, and I've seen it in my tenure as a teacher, is incredible. It's always wonderful to watch that. So sometimes there are some bumps in the road, but you can get past that if you put the kids first and you think about them and think about how you are going to influence their life in the future.
Mr. Santabria, continue to share with our viewers by describing your fantastic Teacher of the Year using 3 adjectives.
Okay. Well, the first one that comes to mind is caring. He is a very caring person. Not only does he care about what he does, but he cares about those that he comes into contact with daily, whether it's the students, whether it's the parents, colleagues, peers, whomever it may be. He is always caring of their needs. The second thing that comes to mind is selfless. He always puts himself out there to assist others. Everyone else comes first, and he comes second. And so student needs come first, his colleagues' needs come first. He's always selfless. And then lastly, perfectionistic. He is a perfectionist, and he expects nothing but perfection. And that goes along with high expectations. He has high expectations, and we can't ask for anything more.
Mr. Ramming, knowing all that we've already spoken about, the use of technology, the use of engagement, your conversations that you may have with your colleagues or with parents, why are you a teacher?
That's a very good question. I'm a teacher because teaching is the greatest profession ever. And a lot of people don't value it as they should, but we get the opportunity to take something, clay, and mold it into something fantastic. And to get to see the results, because I've been doing this long enough now to reap the benefits of my planting the seeds, and what I see is just awesome. It's completely awesome and very humbling, because when you talk to them and you see those kids, what they become. I have doctors, lawyers, and they still remember you, and they remember the things that you expressed to them and that you taught them. It's humbling, but so very rewarding.
Being a product of St. Lucie Public Schools, understanding that the value and worth that you bring to your community, to your school, to your students, understanding that it is also the most noblest profession. With the things that you offer, when will you know that you are a success?
I know that I'm a success when I see the results of what I've done and what I've put into it. Some people think that it's a thankless job, and sometimes it may seem like that. But I've seen some wonderful things in my teaching career. I've seen kids who were not really even interested in school, and because they were just involved in what we were doing, It changed their mindset and made them want to achieve higher goals and expect more of themselves. And that's basically all we can ask. All we can ask is to get the kid or the child on the right track and let them know that they are somebody and that they can become somebody.
Mrs. Santabria, you have the opportunity to experience education at its highest level with Mr. Ramin each and every day. His selection as Teacher of the Year did not just happen, and it is a major honor for anyone that receives that accolade from their peers. What makes him the perfect candidate for this honor?
Well, I believe, based on everything that he does on a daily basis, the ratings that he has helped his students and his program achieve, not only district-wide, but statewide, and even nationally. But the greatest honor really is to have been selected by his own peers, and I think that in itself is honorable and makes it such an honor for him to have been selected as our Teacher of the Year.
So tell us this. With everything that you know and all that we've spoken about today, here's your opportunity to share with us anything else that we might have not spoken about Mr. Ramin.
Well, you know, don't always judge the book by its cover. And Mr. Ramin may look like one of those mean, tough guys, and he can be. But deep down inside, he's really a teddy bear.
We won't tell everybody. Mr. Ramin, let's hasten along. Everything that we've spoken about, you have to have learned some things along the way and come to some very conclusive decisions about some things. So tell us, when you think about education, when you think about the work that you do in totality, what is it that you know for sure?
What I know for sure is that old African proverb that says it takes a village is very true. And that I know that education is the core to our culture being diverse and being productive. I always tell my kids that we're a family. And that's the way that's the approach that I take, that's the way I teach them, and that's the way we work. We work together as a family. What I know for sure is that it takes everybody. It takes the teachers, it takes the parents, it takes our community, it takes everyone to help our kids be able to achieve and to allow our kids to grow and become productive citizens.
Finish this phrase for me. I believe
that it's important to plant those wonderful seeds. I believe it's important for us to nurture those seeds. I believe in education. I believe in the power of knowledge. I believe that we all should be a village and that we all should work towards the success of our children growing up, that they grow up in an environment that is safe, an environment where they can be creative, they can be who they are, and I believe that through all of that, we can achieve success and have the best people produce the best students, the best human beings that we could possibly produce.
Congratulations again, Mr. Santabria. Thank you for joining us.
Very welcome.
Mr. Ramin, I just ask that you just please remember these words when I say to you that music expresses that which cannot be put into words and that which cannot remain silent. Thank you for using that idiom to show your colleagues, to show your students the power of music and how it helps us express everything that's about this world so that it does not remain silent. Again, congratulations, and thank you for sharing with us on our Teacher of the Year celebration show.
Thank you.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, excuse me, sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If the door's locked, knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't stare, don't use bad language, or talk with your mouth full. Keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. Cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give your seat up to anybody who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you want to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
Good talk.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Joining us from White City Elementary School is Mr. Sean Lewis, the dynamic Teacher of the Year for that site. Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
And along with him is Mr. Roberto Bonsignor, who's the dynamic principal at White City Elementary School. Mr. Bonsignor, welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
This is our opportunity to celebrate as well as congratulate those persons that have been selected as the Teacher of the Year for their site. It is also our opportunity to introduce more of our fantastic educators to our viewing audience. So, Mr. Lewis, I'm going to ask at this time if you would share with our viewers just a little bit about your background, what grades you teach, subjects you teach, your certifications, those kinds of things, so that they can have a deeper understanding and appreciation of you and how you came about being selected for this honor. What school, what grade, subjects?
White City Elementary. I teach science, language arts, and MTSS. I am certified. I went to Florida Atlantic University. I studied elementary education K-6, and I'm certified to teach elementary education K-6, and I'm also ESOL and ESE endorsed.
What grades are you currently teaching right now?
5th grade.
5th grade, 5th grade. Now, being an educator for 7 years, you've had time to think and reflect, experience. What's your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching, it never grows old, and it's always the same, but it's seeing the fact that you can reach a kid. You can use science experiments, for example. The science experiments that we do, they're hands-on, they're legit, the kids love them, they like to get up and interact, and when they can connect the text to the experiment they're doing hands-on, and they get that aha, that's what I'm all about.
Now, the students that you're working with, very much like you, are used to technology for any and everything, for all of their learning, for their play, for communicating. How do you naturally plan and infuse the use of technology into your lessons?
The teacher that we all hated as a kid was the teacher that stood in front of the class like Ferris Bueller and spoke from a book. And that's all they did. My curriculum is infusing all types of resources, from rap songs using vocabulary, to using Think Central to access Fusion, to using my document cameras, to anything that I can get to grab their attention and connect them with the technology, and I can differentiate the instruction to bring it just from text.
Sounds like a very engaging classroom. So with that, we know that in our framework for quality instruction, DQ5 is all about engagement. It sounds as if you also purposefully plan engagement. Tell us how you purposefully plan engagement for instruction.
Well, like I said, one of the things that I love the most is infusing music into my science curriculum. Children, unlike me, I'm not a huge rap song fan, but they love the rap music, and when I can mix curriculum and dance into learning about a new subject matter and science, they just love it.
So if I came to your classroom, would I see you dancing?
You sure would.
Okay.
You'd see the kids laughing.
But as long as they're learning.
Yeah.
Mr. Bonsignor, there may be some viewers that also may not know you and your background as an educator. Please share with us at this time.
Well, I have taught for approximately, been in education, I should say, for approximately 15 years. And from Brooklyn, New York, to the Bronx and Miami, and now here in Port St. Lucie. I am certified in leadership, of course, in the elementary level. I did my master's degree at the University of Miami, go Canes. And that's why I fell in love with Relief, Florida. And I was invited to become an administrator in the Bronx. And I could only stay there 3 years because I wanted to come back to Florida, and I'm here now. And I've been in St. Lucie County for approximately 8 years now.
We've talked about with Mr. Lewis the use of music, technology, engagement. We may even see him dancing. Tell us, when you visit his room, what is it that you see and hear?
When I go into his room, it's very inviting. It's very inviting and very geared towards learning. Students are engaged, and you might hear noise, but it's really deliberate, very focused on the learning goal and the task at hand. And it's a very safe environment for students where they are able to ask questions, they're able to talk with their peers, and Mr. Lewis, you see him facilitating that process by going around and asking guiding questions. And you could see a lot of the elements when you go into the classroom from the St. Lucie County framework as well. But it is very conducive to learning.
Mr. Lewis, have you always known that you wanted to be an educator? And if not, when did you make that discovery?
I definitely didn't always know I was going to be an educator. My first original love was animals. I went to Westwood High School. I was part of the vet program. I graduated Westwood as a vet tech, and I went straight to Indian River State College to get on board with my AA for veterinarian science. And so towards the end of my AA, I had to do my observation hours. Well, my stepdad's been in the county for 35 plus years, and he said, why don't you come into my classroom at Northport and watch me teach and get your observation hours with me? So I did that. A few times doing it, I was like, with his excitement and his love, and he was a science teacher as well, I was like, this is really cool. I think I might, like doing like what you do, Lou. And so he said, before you make that decision, you have to sub. So I did. For St. Lucie County, I subbed for a good 8 months to a year, and I knew right at the end of my AA, I switched to elementary, I did the courses I needed, and I finished my AA in the direction of mind, I was going to be a teacher.
So you told us about your stepdad and his love and his excitement. Is he the person that inspired you to become an educator, or is there additional people?
Well, he is my inspiration, definitely, to be a teacher. Louis Capizzoli, like I said, he's been in the county for 35 plus years. My mom is also a teacher. My sister is also a teacher. And one of the coolest things was, when I was in school at Florida Atlantic University, my mom and I both did our bachelor's degree together in education with the guidance of my stepdad along the way. So I think we were all influenced by him.
Now, I'm going to have to go back and make sure that our audience hears something that you said, because you didn't tell us that, Mr. Lewis, when you introduced yourself, that you're a product of St. Lucie Public Schools, a graduate of Westwood High School.
Yes.
And once a Panther?
Always
a Panther. We have to make sure that they know. Thank you. It's good to know that we have so many of our students that had a great education experience here that comes back to play it forward for our next generation of students. This year, as the Teacher of the Year, there's got to be a lot that's going on. Is there something new and or exciting that you are working on or involved with this year at your site?
I'm always looking for great ways to build up the repertoire of my science curriculum. So this year, Beth Bonvie contacted me in the summer and told me she had won this program called the Scientific League of Superheroes, and she wanted me to give it a try. The Scientific League of Superheroes is a program that bases on 5th grade science standards, but goes all the way from kindergarten to high school. It takes the concepts of all the standards taught in science, and it teaches them with villains and superheroes. So, of course, it has the potential to be a video where if you were the babysitting type of teacher, you'd play the video and blah, 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 and that would be it. And I actually was contacted by the 2 doctors that created this program. They work at USF, and they said, I told them a little bit about me, and they said, we usually give these programs away and we don't see them being used. But we can tell that you're really using them, and we can tell that it's really working for you. And they're also going to come out and put on a performance at our school in the spring.
Mr. Bonsignor, it sounds like a lot of the energy going on in this classroom with superheroes, with rap music, with dancing. To be the Teacher of the Year, though, he's got to be involved in just making the total operations of the school. What other activities would we find Mr. Lewis involved with?
Well, he's also part of the cohort with the district in terms of focusing on the framework.
The teacher leaders.
The teacher leaders, exactly, thank you. And he brings that onto our site, and he has shared it through the Shine committee and the cohort. and has done professional development to share with the teachers, and that has led him to be well respected by the teachers to the point where they invite him. They asked him if they could observe his classroom with a focus in mind on things they want to refine or really improve. And so he has really been like a mentor and a role model for them as well. So he shares his knowledge and new strategies with them very easily.
Mr. Lewis, oftentimes when we have Teachers of the Years on our campus, that person serves as our ambassador. We have people that visit, could be parents, community members, students that want to learn more about education, learn more about what's happening at White City Elementary School, and we may call on you. What would you say to a parent or a student to help them ensure that their child remains a success?
What I tell my parents and teachers is that throughout the year, your kids are coming in with an empty tool belt. Throughout the year, I'm going to provide them with the tools for their tool belt that's going to help provide success throughout the year in the classroom. If I get the support of the child, of the students, as well as the parents, then they're going to utilize those tools and they're going to go on to be successful past my class.
In the same manner, we often ask you to give advice, especially to new teachers. And in your particular instance, you're sharing with your colleagues. What advice do you offer to them?
The best advice I have is, I just remember when I first started. I had that mentor that helped me when I started in Palm Beach County, and I was like a sponge. I took everything up that they said, every suggestion. You know, after the first year, you take it and you put your little twist on it. But when you're first brand new starting out, you're a sponge, you roll with the punches, you're flexible because you have to be as a teacher, and you got to be willing to learn and grow.
Mr. Bonsignor, when I listen to Mr. Lewis speak, I hear energy, I hear passion. Would you please describe him for us using 3 adjectives and tell us why those 3?
Well, there are more than 3, but I would say, you know, he's very professional, very reflective, and very caring about his students, and that's really important.
Tell us this, please, Mr. Lewis. We've had a lot of conversation about a lot of things in a short time. Why are you a teacher?
I'm a teacher because I believe that's what I'm meant to do. Through college, I did tons of jobs I couldn't stand. Working at grocery stores, cleaning cars, doing all those things to make it to the point I am. I believe people are teachers because of incentives like summers off and stuff like that. That doesn't appeal to me. The fact is that I feel like I'm meant to do this job. I take very much pride and respect in it, and I take it very seriously. And it's, you know, other than my family and my friends and loved ones, this is my life.
Mr. Bonsignor, what makes Mr. Lewis the perfect candidate for the Teacher of the Year honor?
Well, one of the things that I think has really led his colleagues to choose him as Teacher of the Year is that he really has embraced the framework, and I mentioned that earlier, but he really shows competence in all 4 domains when you think about the learning environment and how I see him in collaborative planning, really planning the lessons to implement and execute them in the learning environment. And he's able to reflect in a very professional way with his colleagues about the lessons, and he shows true collegiality and professionalism throughout.
Tell us anything else that you want to share with us that we may not have spoken about concerning Mr. Lewis.
Well, all that has been mentioned really has been a product of our students in 5th grade surpassing really the expectation in terms of really making the most gains, one of the most gains in the science scores from last year. And that's due to the fact that really Mr. Lewis has embraced inquiry-based learning to the point where students are able to really have learning experiences that really cement the learning and those standards that we want to make sure that they're solidified and master.
Mr. Lewis, we're wrapping up our conversation with you, but when we think about your career as an educator, how you started and came into education and what you are providing for students each and every day, when we look at the total aspect of what you do, tell us, what is it that you know for sure?
I know for sure that I'm in the best place I've ever been in my career. I love working for St. Lucie County. White Seal Elementary feels like a second home to me, and I know for sure that I'm at the best place with my pedagogy and the techniques I use in the classroom that I've ever been. Not to say I don't have room to grow, because every teacher does, but I feel very secure and I feel very good in what I'm doing in the classroom.
So then finish this phrase for me. I believe
that all students, no matter what you could think of, deserves a teacher that is going to push them and care for them and be there no matter what to provide the education that they deserve and need.
I'll leave you with these words when I tell you that teaching is not a profession, it's a passion. And it's evident by listening to you speak about what's going on in your room that there is a passion for sharing knowledge and information with those students. So I want to congratulate you on your selection as Teacher of the Year for White City Elementary School. Mr. Bonsignor, thank you for joining us. And Mr. Lewis, I look forward to coming to your room and dancing with you and seeing the great things that's going on with you and your students.
Thank you very much.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and frustration a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy and giving up impossible. I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Joining us from Palm Point Educational Research School is Miss Melanie Lawson, who's the fantastic Teacher of the Year there. Welcome to our Teacher of the Year celebration show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Along with her today is Miss Deborah Snyder, the wonderful principal at Palm Point. Miss Snyder, welcome to you as well.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon.
Ms. Larson, there may just be some of our viewers that don't know you and your background, so please share with them the grades that you teach, subjects that you teach, certification, that kind of bio information, please.
Absolutely. I'm currently teaching 6th grade world history, and I also teach our middle school drama as kind of a research class. We've been putting really a lot of work into this production that's coming up. My certification is elementary, kindergarten through 6th grade. I have a bachelor's degree in history with childhood certification, as well as a master's degree in elementary curriculum.
So let's just jump right in. Tell us, what's your favorite part of teaching?
Oh, just the interactions with the kids. I absolutely love that every single day I get to interact with all of these amazing young people and really kind of open their minds to the world around them, introduce them to social studies, which I'm super passionate about. And there's just, you know, the humor and the creativity and all of that energy that I get to be immersed with every single day.
Well, dealing with 6th graders, that is right at the beginning of middle school. Even though they start with you in kindergarten, they could actually rotate through your entire program. But middle school, these students come to you using technology all of the time for any and everything. How do you purposefully use technology for instruction?
Well, I host a website for our entire grade level group so that students and families are able to connect on a daily basis with resources to help them with class assignments. There's extra materials on there such as study guides, links to games, and other opportunities through the internet. So that's something that is always available to them at home as well as in school. In addition, they come in with their smart devices. We use academic games online. We use them for research as well as our laptops and our desktops. Personally, I teach almost every single day using some sort of animated PowerPoint with songs and video clips and animated GIFs and memes, the whole business, anything to really kind of bring that 21st century learning into the classroom with them.
I hear memes, I hear GIFs, the animation, and I hear the excitement and energy in your voice. We know that in our framework for quality instruction, DQ5 is all about engagement. It's apparent that you purposefully plan engagement. So tell us how you go about that.
Well, I once heard someone say, teach like your hair's on fire, particularly in today's world where there's so much competition with the kids. You know, like you said, the technology and the video games and all of those things competing for our time as teachers, that they're distracted. So we want to make sure that as a teacher, their focus is on the learning and what's going on. So I really try hard to plan every lesson, and when I go in there with all of this energy, to make it a place that they want to be. I love it when I hear from my kids, I can't wait to come to your class. You're the reason I want to come to school. I use accents, we sing. We recently rewrote the songs to Imagine Dragons' Radioactive about the Neolithic Revolution to bring that into the classroom. We play games, we do simulations, we do role plays. We've acted out Julius Caesar and the fall of the Roman Republic, Roman Republic, and all of those things, just to make it a place that's not only bringing the curriculum to life, but a place that they really want to be.
I think Shakespeare said it best when he said the whole world is a stage.
Absolutely.
The whole world is actually your classroom,
Absolutely,
isn't it?
yes.
Ms. Snyder, once again, welcome to the show as well. Just in case someone does not know the fantastic Deborah Snyder, introduce yourself as well to our viewers.
I'm Debbie Snyder, and I have been the principal of Palm Point for 8 years. And I have 37 years in education, primarily in an elementary school. But when I moved to Palm Point as a K8 principal, that was my first exposure to middle school. And I love middle school students, and I love middle school teachers. And Miss Larson is just one of the many, many fantastic teachers that we have at Palm Point.
Let's continue then with Ms. Snyder. When you visit Ms. Larson's classroom, what is it that you hear and see?
All of those things that she said and more. I see student engagement. 100% of the students are engaged in learning. She's a facilitator. You will walk into her classroom and sometimes you won't even know she's in the classroom. She's facilitating. The kids are coaching each other and learning together. Lots and lots of energy in the classroom. You never see, sometimes middle school kids, they'll get bored with learning. You'll see them on their desk. Not in Miss Larson's room. It's filled with energy and learning and engagement. Just what you want to see with today's kids.
Ms. Larson, have you always known that you wanted to be an educator? And if not, when did you make that discovery?
I have always been an academic type of person. I just love the entire school environment. And to be clear, when I was a child, I would even play school. I remember my teachers giving me extra resource books so I could take them home and, play school with the neighbors. I ended up going into education probably a little bit later because I was initially thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to be good enough for the kids. But then I really felt called to do it and ended up making that choice as my second degree.
Going into it a little bit later, feeling called,
right.
Using your, I love that,
yes.
To do it. Apparently you went through some reflection.
I did.
Do you think that there might have been a teacher that you thought about, reflected on, that inspired you, or teachers, to make that decision?
Absolutely. I remember my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Roosh. I really felt like she believed in me, and she made school a place I wanted to be at. I think about Mr. DeMott, my 11th grade world history teacher, or American history teacher, and he just had this amazing way to engage with us to make us feel really respected and supported in the classroom. And then really when I got into college, I had a professor named Dr. John Daly who just made history come to life to me, and that's the way that I've tried to carry that into my classroom.
When you think about everything that you are involved with this year, is there something new or exciting that jumps out that you want to share with us?
Well, this year I have started a full-scale middle school drama club, and we are getting prepared to put on our first full-scale musical production coming up in just a few weeks called Dorothy in Wonderland. And I work with 32 students every afternoon and teaching them the basics of acting and performance as well as some vocal training, and that has just been amazing. Here at Palm Point I've had the opportunity to work with drama for the last few years, but this is the first time that we've been able to really put on this full production.
Ms. Snyder, to be the Teacher of the Year, that person is heavily involved in everything that happens on our campus. Can you share with us some other activities that Ms. Larson may be involved in that just help the total school function?
Absolutely. She is a teacher and a learner. As a teacher, she not only teaches students, but she teaches teachers. Ms. Larson has been involved in many professional development activities, teaching the framework to other teachers. We have, we call them Think Tank Tuesdays, and they're Tuesday afternoons, and they're open to all teachers from 4:30 to 5:30, and they're once a month. And Miss Larson plans with the team and presents to them. She's also a mentor to new teachers. We have her partner teacher is a 6th grade social studies teacher, is new to our district, and she serves as a mentor. She, and as a learner, she's out there at conferences. She gave up summertime to travel to ASCD in Nashville with me and other teachers this school year. She is willing to do nights and weekends and whatever it takes to be the very best she can be for her kids.
Ms. Larson, as the Teacher of the Year, we often use that person as our spokesperson, as our ambassador for all this right and good at our sites. What would you say to a parent to help them ensure that their child is a success?
We're working a lot this year with a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. Yes, and it's really reinvigorated my passion for helping parents realize that we want to celebrate growth, not perfection. And a lot of times working with parents, they're so concerned about getting that A or that A+, when really we want to just help every child put that effort forward and that attitude that makes them want to continue learning and improving upon their own performance. So
a journey, not a destination.
A journey, not a destination, absolutely. So that is something that I've really put into my practice when speaking not only with my students but with our parents. We communicate on a weekly basis and an email blast, and I include little tidbits there as well. But helping their children realize that they need to come to school with that mindset in place, that this is a place where I can ask questions and I can discover, and it's okay if I'm wrong or I make a mistake. It's all about how can I improve and learn more every single day.
I heard Ms. Snyder mention that you also serve as a mentor.
Yes.
And as the Teacher of the Year, the ambassador, spokesperson, what advice do you share with new teachers?
It may seem cliched, but really the old adage that a day at a time, take everything a day at a time. I think so often when we start in this profession, we come out really thinking we're going to take over the world and it's going to happen in our first day. Everything's going to be perfect and wonderful. But we know there is no such thing as perfect. There is just continue to try, continue to reflect. So my advice would be to make sure that you come willing to ask questions and willing to keep learning. Go to all of the opportunities at school that are offered to learn about our framework and our instructional practices. Have conversations with your colleagues. They're really the best resource. And it's okay that you don't have everything in place right off the bat. You want to try new things. You want to see how it goes. And the kids aren't going to know that you didn't have all those centers ready to go. It's something that it's a continuous process.
What I hear you saying is that they must continue to have a growth mindset.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Buzzword there.
Yes. Ms. Snyder, I'm going to give you what probably is going to be a difficult task. Describe Ms. Larson using 3 adjectives.
That is a difficult
Only 3.
task, Mr. Perry. Let's passionate, energetic, dedicated.
And explain to us.
You've seen her passion. She loves to come to work each and every day. She's one that on a Friday will say to you, I'm going to lesson plan, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I can't wait till Monday morning. So that would be the passion. The energy is just, that's what keeps the kids going. Middle school students like that entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
And she comes in every day with that positive attitude and that energy, and it spreads. And as far as dedicated, she works endless hours. They meet Sunday mornings for breakfast to plan things that some teachers may not think is necessary, but Ms. Larson not only thinks it's necessary, she's so willing to do that.
Ms. Larson, what impact at 6th grade do you think you have on a student's ability to be career and or college ready?
I think I'm very fortunate teaching social studies because we are constantly trying to examine multiple perspectives, not only in history but in our world right now. And I think what's really important for students of all ages, but particularly in middle school as they're going through that transition from elementary into high school onto college, is that they learn the skills of how to really analyze and evaluate information, maybe through primary, secondary sources, but to be able to really kind of consider that there are different perspectives in history. There's different perspectives in the world around us, and we're only a small piece of that. We need to constantly be looking at both sides of a story and forming our opinions carefully, but realizing that even our opinions are not always going to be shared with others. We want to be able to really support those arguments with our evidence. That's something that as they go into college, they're going to have to do that all the time. So that's something that I do on a daily basis in our classroom.
I think we spent a lot of time talking about your work and what you do in the implementation. So I'm going to change focus just a little and make it hard on you like I did with Ms. Snyder and make you talk about yourself.
Okay.
Why are you a teacher?
I think it goes back to what you were asking about why I went into being a teacher to begin with when I felt called. And I love the education world, but I really wanted a job that I could go to every day where I felt like it was very worthwhile and I was also able to be creative. I thrive on new challenges and new situations. So I absolutely love that every single day I have the chance to go do something creative, almost put on a performance, if you will.
The whole world is a stage.
The whole world is a stage. It comes all circles back around. I love lesson planning, and I think a lot of teachers would disagree with me. They feel that, they like the action part of it, and I do as well, but I love digging into the curriculum and finding a way to bring it to life in the mind of an 11 or 12-year-old, what's going to really spark their interest. I love finding those intriguing facts to make the day interesting, trying out new things, seeing how it goes, reflecting, moving on. I will never be a complacent teacher. I'm not the type that has that folder that, we're in October again, here's the lessons. Every year is something new. As a teacher, we can constantly reinvent ourselves to keep changing with what's working, what's not working, and moving forward.
Knowing all that you know about your calling and about the work that you're doing and that the opportunities that you are providing for students as well as for your colleagues on a regular basis, when will you know that you are a success? Well, I honestly, to be truthful, feel successful every single day. Every day there is something that I celebrate that yes, it reaffirms that, yes, this is where I want to be, and this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life, working in education. Every time, as I said, I hear a student say, I'm so excited to be here, I feel successful because my philosophy of making them want to be in school and be lifelong learners is being realized. That doesn't mean that I feel I'm done. Absolutely not. I am constantly looking forward. What can I be doing better to serve them? What can I be doing for my practice? So I feel successful in small amounts every day, but I don't know that there'll ever be a point where I feel I'm done. Tell me this, what do you know for sure? And when you answer this question, just think about the total aspect of who you are and what you do. What do you know for sure?
I have thought about this before, and I know for sure that the only thing that is constant is change. I have learned in my life that you never know where you're going to be a month from now, a year from now. All of it is something to grow from and to learn from. And 4 years ago, I don't know that I would have known I would be here in Florida, and it's been one of the best decisions of my life to come here. Just as I felt called to be a teacher, I feel home here, and I feel that this is the right choice. So I know that change is constant is something, and also that what we do as educators is critical.
Ms. Snyder, a little more open-ended for you at this time. Is there anything that you want to share with us that we haven't spoken about concerning Ms. Lawson?
I need to say thank you, and the children's that she touches each and every day are so fortunate to have her as a teacher. Melanie was recruited at a job fair, and she came down and taught 5th grade. And at the time, she said she really had a passion for social studies. So the following year, we did have a chance to move her up. And each and every day, I know that there's quality instruction in her classroom, and that we are very, very fortunate to have her as a Palm Point family member.
So what makes her the perfect candidate for this Teacher of the Year honor?
Her dedication, her enthusiasm, her willingness to go above and beyond. She is an ambassador everywhere she goes, not just at school, but out in the community. When she's out having dinner with her husband, it's praising education and the profession of teaching, and that's what we need.
Ms. Larson, final question for you. Finish this phrase for me. I believe
the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. but we needed a little Whitney.
Give them a sense of pride
To make it easier, let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be.
Oh, you're wonderful. You're wonderful. And with that, I share these words with you by Ever Garrison when they said, a teacher is a compass that activates the magnets of curiosity, knowledge, and wisdom in our pupils. We want to thank you for the work that you do each and every day by activating those magnets of wisdom and knowledge and the thirst for knowledge with all of our students. Ms. Snyder, thank you for joining us. Congratulations to you, Ms.
Thank
Larson.
you.
And we wish you the best. And I can't wait to visit your classroom. And to our viewers, I want to close by letting us all remember that these teachers have chosen the most challenging and most rewarding profession there is or will ever be. Imagine the light in the eyes of a newly motivated student, the smile on a face when a seemingly unfathomable concept is finally grasped. Thank you to all of these teachers for being such wonderful teachers, exemplary role models, and caring people. Thank you to all of them for knowing their subjects and sharing their knowledge. Thank you for not being afraid to treat students like real people. Thank you for showing acceptance, approval, and appreciation. Every day you make a difference, and every day you do that something that truly matters. Every day you leave an undeniable mark on the future, and for that we say congratulations.